welcome everyone to the comic multiverse, where the worlds of nerve, worlds of nerve. See, this is the problem. We have so many goddamn. I was gonna say, man, it's our last show of 2018 or 2019, I should say. And I want to go out with a bang there. I want to do everything perfect, but I just can't have nice things, Matt.
You went out with a.
Yeah, with a big wet is what I did. So how have you been, Matt, since last we spoke?
Yeah, pretty good. Been catching up all on my comic stuff just because this next week, as I've said, is Comic Apocalypse. Yes, every comic that's ever been released is coming out next week. Or this week, today.
They're dumping all of it the week before because Wednesday is Christmas this year and Wednesday is also New Year's this year. So goddamn, you and I are really going to have to buckle the fuck down to try and have content for everyone.
Yep.
This is the first world YouTuber problem, everyone. We're not allowed to take any time off.
But at least there's always content, new content.
Absolutely. As the chat is saying, you got new Star Wars, you got new Doomsday Clock, you got everything.
Yeah, Tom King's Batman is finally ending.
Tom King's Batman, a little gift to us, right? The gift of sweet release. You're free. The last page is just going to be Tom King being like, "You're free now, Joel and Matt. You can go now." Man, I was thinking about this the other day. Imagine if the last issue of King's Batman is just a total cliffhanger, and it's like, go read Batman Catwoman, that 12 issue.
Oh, I would not fucking put that past him. Like, make sure you read this. But as well, it's like, you gotta remember, like, Tynan is doing half the book as well. So technically, King only has half a book to end his 80-plus issue run that is already, like, completely off the rails, like incomprehensible.
Is I don't know if it's double length or not, but yes, more reason to check it out because there's going to be a Tynan story in there to kind of start off his run, which is cool.
Yeah.
Maybe in the new year too, I'll stop this goddamn camera from fucking up again. I stream on my own. I recorded 2 interviews and it was fine. It's only when we go live. What is the problem?
I don't know.
But yes, thank you everyone for joining us for the last show of 2019, last live show, I should say. We got something planned for Christmas Day. Yeah. We're going to have a great show tonight. We got news to cover. It's a good thing you're here early because we might clock off a little before we normally do because we got another great interview lined up. I talked to Mathew Rosenberg over the weekend. I talked to him about Hawkeye Freefall, which will be coming out like January 1st, so be sure to check that one out. When it comes to, if you're a patron, you already got to listen to it, but if not, be sure to check that out Wednesday at 8. I promise it's a good one.
Yeah, that sounds like great interview. I'm really looking forward to that Hawkeye book because, I mean, I loved his Punisher book, so I'm intrigued to see what he'll do with Hawkeye.
He gave me some great insight into it. He said, his original pitch for it was not Hawkeye Freefall. It was Hawkeye, this isn't funny anymore, was his pitch. And says it basically is Hawkeye getting involved in a deadly prank war with the Hood that goes too far.
Oh, nice. That sounds awesome.
I like it too. And he's like, oh yeah, and also there's a new Ronin running around in it too who's killing criminals. And I'm like, ooh, interesting.
Yeah, ooh, that sounds interesting, yeah.
Yeah, and the Avengers being like, Hawkeye, you're going to some dark places recently. Are you killing criminals as Ronin again? No. Are you sure?
Yeah, promise.
I love that Ronin and Guardian are like these two just up for grabs superhero identities that like anyone can just grab whenever they want.
Yeah, they're like, oh, do you not have an identity? Oh, just use these identities. No one's using them at the moment.
Yeah, just slip on the Ronin suit. It's fine. JT was he saying the new Ronin is Kate? That would be a crazy fucking twist. I don't think they're going there, but wouldn't that be some shit?
That'd be pretty cool.
She's like, I'm mad my solo series got canceled. And also my, East Coast Avengers team that I was on was also got canceled. So I've decided to become Ronin now. But yes, everyone, we do actually have some news. We got some stuff to cover here. So let's get right on to it then. I have it written somewhere. I've lost my notes. I'm falling apart.
I know the first story is Robin related.
Yes, that's right. DC is celebrating the 80th anniversary of Robin. I was going to say 80 years, but again, is it 80 years or 80 generations, Matt? I can never keep it straight.
It's one or the other.
Yeah, one or the other. Yeah, they're celebrating Robin's anniversary, giving him a big anthology special, which is really cool. We saw them do it with Superman. We saw it do with Batman. Wonder Woman's going to get one soon. I suppose if any sidekick deserved one, it's the archetypal sidekick.
Yes. Now, will all of these stories be revised to have this Robin actually just be Rick Grayson?
Well, it's funny you should say that. Of all the different names they've listed, and they had a pretty good solid listing of creators coming back for this. Tom King and Tim Seeley are actually reteaming to tell a new Grayson story in this, apparently.
Oh, jeez.
Which is surprising and also like, oh, I might actually enjoy that because their Grayson run was really good.
Yeah, it was. It was one of the highlights of like that New 52 DCU era.
Yeah, and it makes it sound like, oh, are we going to be like telling stories for every era of Robin's life? Are we going to start when he's a flying Grayson, then when he's a boy Wonder, Nightwing, Agent Grayson, and I guess, do we have to tell a fucking Rick story? I guess we have to tell a fucking Rick story, too.
Please, if they do it, just get like Mark Russell to write that page and just make it completely meta about how none of this matters.
Can you believe that that's still going on? Like the March solicits came out for 2020 and it's still going on in 2020.
Yes, I can. I can absolutely believe that about the current state of DC.
It's fucking madness because I remember hearing like, oh, Tynan's going to fix that too when he takes over Batman because obviously he's a big Nightwing Dick Grayson fan. He's going to work on that. And I'm like, well, apparently he ain't working quick enough yet. Yeah, apparently there's going to be a whole Rick versus Joker storyline in March, and I'm like, I don't want to read that.
Jesus Christ.
Let Rick die, please. Can we be done with... Nobody wants this.
You know who does want this, though? Dan DiDio.
Dan DiDio. I saw people wrongly attributing it on Twitter when this story broke, where they're like, oh, why does Tom King get to come and write in the Robin special when he's the one who made him Rick and ruined his character? I'm like, no. Scott Lobdell ruined his character. Dan Abnett tried to fix it. Dan DiDio wanted it, and we're all just living with it.
and as well, like, people need to remember that Tom King wrote Grayson.
Yes, he actually wrote, and not only that, but when like Tom King did write Robin and did write Dick Grayson in his book, he actually genuinely seemed to like him, and Robin was one of the few characters who did make sense and didn't sound like he was completely out of character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which, again, I'm sure that was just working with Tim Seeley and having that rub off on him and being like, oh, I like Dick Grayson. He's a fun character. I'm going to write him right.
Yeah.
Which is the damnedest. Also, Dixon is coming back for this, too, which is funny because he sat out the Superman one and he sat out the Batman one and a bunch of other ones, but he's coming back for this one, which, as much as I don't like the person Dixon has become in real life, it is hard to deny that he did a lot of good work for the Robin character that we're still referencing today. And that's the fucked up thing about art, is that sometimes you do have to divorce the artist from the art. And I mean, it's not like I think he's going to come in here and have Robin being like, oh, this red suit's pretty good, but I'm going to put on this red hat instead. Somehow I feel that's not going to happen. Somehow I feel they're going to try and rein him in a little.
I'm going to honor the memory of Roy Harper, my best friend, even though he isn't. And I'm going to wear his trucker cap.
Everywhere I go. Also, hey, everyone, I'm Robin, and I'm okay. What, it's just the circle game? No, Robin, no. But yeah, this actually sounds fun. I definitely want to check this one out. Some of these anthologies have been better than others. I feel they definitely rolled out the red carpet for Batman and Superman. They kind of phoned his special in a little bit.
Yeah, you could tell who's like the most popular character at DC.
And like here, it actually seems like they are honoring more aspects of Robin's character by having a bigger swath of writers who are actually very much involved with the character. So yeah, sign me up for this one. This one sounds like it might be okay.
Yeah.
All right, what else do we got going on this week? Here's one I wasn't expecting us to talk about ever again, but everyone tweeted this to me when the story broke. Power Rangers movie set for another reboot from Netflix creator goddamn, I'm having a hard time finding words this week. The guy who did that show, The End of the Fucking World.
Yeah.
Which I've never watched, but I guess I'll have to watch now for research.
Yeah, so is this going to be a Netflix film? Or is it just produced by a guy who's a Netflix producer?
I think it's just produced by that guy. Although, honestly, if they wanted to take it right to Netflix, I think that'd be really fucking cool, actually.
It would probably make its money back somehow.
It probably would. The interesting premise for this is that this is going to be like a time travel narrative. This is going to be like Days of Future Past that see the Power Rangers going back to the 90s, the era that birthed them. And I'm like, all right, well, someone's been reading my dream journal then, because I've literally been saying forever, to make Power Rangers work on the big screen, you need to make it a totally self-aware 90s nostalgia piece.
Yeah, that actually sounds pretty damn cool. And
it's an actual idea.
It would be interesting to see if like they go back and they could potentially endgame it where they meet up with the 90s Power Rangers.
That'd be fun.
But seeing as like this isn't probably going to be a big budget film, they probably wouldn't do that. Or if they did it, they'd all just be in their costume and you just get like the actors to voice them, because there's no way they're doing like de-aging stuff on fucking like Jason David Frank and all of that.
Although he does look good for his age, but still, yeah, I get what you're saying. There's a lot of really fun places you could take this in. But again, I ask myself what I always ask, and that is, I would love a Power Rangers movie that speaks to me. But Power Rangers has not been for me in decades, because it is a show for children. But it's also in the unique position, too, that Power Rangers never stopped airing and never stopped being a thing. It's like in season 26 right now, and every generation has like their own era of Power Rangers that was special and resonated for them, which I think makes making a movie that much harder, where it's like, well, you'll never be able to make one that speaks to everybody.
Yeah, you'll have to make a movie that speaks to like us, like the ones who grew up with the 90s, or like one for people who grew up in the mid 2000s, so like Galaxy and all that sort of stuff. Maybe this is their way around it too. Again, maybe they make a new version of the Rangers just for the movies. Like, okay, we're the new modern day Rangers. You know, we inherited the legacy, and now we're going back to meet the originals. That's how I would do it. So you can have your cake and eat it too. That's you'd have to do it that way. You can make original Rangers and just have them go back and meet the 90s or whatever Rangers.
This will be interesting too, because this isn't Saban with any hand in this one anymore. This is the first like new movie thing for the Hasbro generation, because Hasbro owns the rights to it.
And I think it might be actually pretty good, because they did the same thing with, like, as the chat was saying, the Bumblebee film, and that was surprisingly good.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? So, I mean, Hasbro knows where their bread is buttered, and they would love, I'm sure, to be like, look, we got our TV Rangers, we also got our new movie Rangers, and we got an excuse to re-release all these classic Ranger stuff again.
Exactly.
See, sometimes thinking like a toy company isn't necessarily a bad thing. Where it's like, look, let's try and please as many people as we can. Again, like I said, I like this idea because it's an actual outside-the-box idea, and better than that last movie Reboot, where it's like, let's just do like the first ones over again.
Yeah, that last movie, like, it wasn't that good, but like it was better than what it could have been.
You know, it's funny. I remember raging against it so hard. That was actually one of the first movies I ever got to see early. Like, I got to see it a week early because someone I know won, like, a radio contest and gave me tickets. So I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll check this out. I remember raging. Then you, me, and Tom did a riff of it, which you can find over on the channel. And as I sat back and watched it with you guys, I'm like, this actually isn't that bad. I mean, I can see why they never made a sequel. It wasn't good enough to justify a sequel, but it also wasn't the worst thing ever. Like, there's actual moments where they truly, genuinely tried.
Yeah, and it was well shot and everything, but yeah, it was just like kind of just there. Like, they didn't try anything new or like exciting with it, and it was just like kind of a rehash of some older stuff. But it didn't warrant a sequel. I'm surprised they didn't make a sequel, because there was a time there where they were like, "Oh, we're definitely making a sequel. It's definitely happening." I guess it's not happening now.
No, it's not. A lot of those actors went on to do other things, which, good for them.
Yeah.
I will say, though, the best part of that movie was getting Bryan Cranston, who had voiced a bunch of the Power Rangers monsters early in his career, to come back and play Zordon. And also the fact that they used the original theme song in that movie, which I did not see that coming.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was pretty good.
Man Assault saying Joel had the blind hatred for that movie like he did for Amazing Spider-Man. Oh, no. The Amazing Spider-Man hatred never went away. I still think those movies are incredibly dumb. But thankfully, due to time and tide, I never have to think about those ever again because everyone forgot about them.
For good reason.
For good reason. They're still on Netflix, though, and every time I pass them and I laugh, and I'm like, oh, they thought this was going to be a thing, and then it wasn't.
God. We were robbed of Paul Giamatti Rhino, though.
Oh, I know. Just, shouting Russian gibberish. I'm the Rhino.
That's exactly what he said as well.
That was in the script, man. He's a method actor. He really went there and really did it. All right, what else we got coming down here? Oh, here's a surprising story that had everyone talking this week. J.J. Abrams' SpiderMan comic finale with Pacelli pushed back a staggering 11 weeks.
Jesus.
Holy shit. And they also gave no reason as to why.
Yeah, that's weird because it's only a 5-issue mini, and issue 3 I think is coming out this week. So they got 2 more, but yeah, that's a huge. And I'd understand if it was just one of the writers taking like 10 books at a time or something. Yeah. But this is J.J. Abrams and his son Henry. What are they doing at the moment? JJ's finished filming Star Wars. All that. So I assume his son is probably just doing this. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I would think so too. When you take this, when you do this undertaking with Marvel, when you're an outside source and you're not a regular comic book writer, my assumption is that it's already done or something. But I guess not.
Maybe JJ is busy dealing with Fortnite Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, really, it's too busy. You gotta get them in there. Oh yeah, the Game Awards happened this week. Everyone, Matt and I watched.
Yes, we watched every cringy moment of it.
Every trailer that they had, and no gameplay.
Yeah.
God forbid we should have some gameplay in this. Man, to do a little diversion here for a second, but the Game Awards are always such a weird thing to me. Because on one hand, I'm like, oh, I like that, games have a night all to themselves. But on the other hand, man, the Game Awards is really, really self-conscious that it keeps having to lean on big Hollywood celebrities and big musical acts because it's afraid it can't carry a show just by talking about games.
Yeah, those music acts like the Green Day and all that, I'm like, yes. Music, when I think of video games and playing video games, I immediately think of Green Day.
I mean, hey, Guitar Hero and everything else, but we're a long time removed from that. At least when they do those really respectable, what is it, big band chorus things where they do medleys of all the themes from all the games of the year. That's nice. That's all it should be.
Yeah. They should have just made the whole thing about musical accompaniment from the games, not Green Day.
Yeah. It seems very strange. It feels like the Game Awards is please take us seriously. Look how all these other people like us. Look how Vin Diesel likes us.
Yeah, look. He comes and talks about a new trailer that he never even shows.
Yeah.
And did you hear how Michelle Rodriguez pronounces Tekken?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Tenkan. Oh my god! I am relatable. I play the video game.
Did they sound a little drunk or a little high when they were out there? They sounded like they really didn't expect to be put on stage.
Oh yeah, that was probably something that was organized earlier that day.
They're like, hey,
these guys are at the Denny's across the street.
we like video games too, man. Yeah, games.
The only reason it didn't succeed is they didn't have the shit Hydro bot there that year.
No, that's a shame.
It
That
would
being
have
said,
succeeded if it did have that.
now that being said, we can all agree that Nakamura is the best. She is the internet's wife now, and we must protect her at all costs.
We must protect Ikumi Nakamura, yes.
Yes, at all costs. She is not only just adorable in everything she does, but also like a really talented game developer in and of herself, and like can make fun of herself and take herself not seriously in 2 languages, which is a fucking gift.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, must protect at all costs.
Yes.
Look, I'm not saying I would take a bullet, but I would probably take a bullet. And that's a new fanfic I'm writing right now. No. But yeah, Spider-Man, pushed back 11 weeks. That's so weird. That either sounds like, boy, they scheduled this wrong, or something happens in the last couple issues that they want to, like, distance themselves from.
Yeah, it's very strange. And yeah, again, like, I assume, or I never assume when it comes to stuff like this, but I assume people know that this isn't in continuity at all. Yeah. So, like, yeah, maybe they're worried that people will think it is, or they do something so dramatic with the characters that they're worried about the backlash or something, or they just haven't fucking written the ending.
Yeah, which again is just like, why did you let them write a whole series if you didn't already have the ending mapped out? Are you that desperate to get into bed with someone in Hollywood? And the answer is yeah, probably.
Yeah.
The chat saying too, his son Henry is grounded until he can hammer out the end of this story. Hey, no
that
Xbox.
mystery box in, Henry.
Yeah, you put the mystery box. That's the problem. He lost his mystery box, and now he has to find it again.
Yeah, oh my god, this is lost all over again.
Oh, no. And then Peter fights a big black smoke monster, and then we find out they were in purgatory all along. With both Damon Lindelof and J.J. Abrams in the news a bunch recently, I've really gone back and started thinking more and more about Lost, and like how so little of it actually holds up now, given the ending.
Yeah. Yeah.
The best episode, and I think I must have said this somewhere else too, the best episode is the Penny's Boat episode, which is the episode that has almost nothing to do with everything else in the show you've been watching, because it's just like a clever science fiction mini movie that plays out over like an hour.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't hold up nowadays either, with like so many shows kind of doing similar premises and doing it a lot better.
Yeah. And that's why when it's something like, hey, we let J.J. Abrams handle the finale for this new Star Wars trilogy, I'm like, oh, yeah, because he's really known for his endings, isn't he? I mean, he is, but not known the way you want to be known for them. Same with Damon Lindelof. Hey, we let him take this Watchmen show. I'm like, okay, you all really seem to be liking it right now, but I really liked Lost in the beginning, too, and I was super disappointed when it was all over. So, I guess we'll see where that goes. I still haven't watched that show yet. Again, because in the back of my mind, I'm like, you all like it, but I don't know.
It's like, I didn't like the first, I don't know how many episodes, but then they did like an episode that was entirely set in the past, like the Minutemen and Hooded Justice and everything. And I'm like, oh, this is really cool. And now we got like the Black Manta. The guy who plays Black Manta is Dr. Manhattan. So.
Oh, shit. Huh. Oh, speaking of African-American actors, again, another comic show I don't watch, but I should probably start watching, although maybe not now, given how this turned out. American Gods fired Orlando Jordan.
Oh, really? Why?
Apparently the new showrunner for season 2 thought he was like, your character, a little too angry, a little too aggressive. We want to go in a different direction. So, yeah, they fired him.
Oh, I did not know that. I watched that show when it appears on Amazon Prime here. So I usually catch it a little bit after it's aired, so I don't really keep up with it. But that was interesting because I really liked his character.
Same. Like, here's the thing: I haven't watched the show yet, but I saw the Mr. Nance or the Nancy clips online, and I'm like, holy shit, this dude is spitting hot fire. This character is fucking awesome. But yeah, apparently the new showrunner's like, too much black anger scares me. So we're just gonna get rid of it. Also, too, apparently Orlando Jordan just wasn't acting on the show, but like the other showrunner actually let him like do some writing for the show too. Like I think he basically like do his own lines and let him do like his own blocking and everything. So so he could really own the character and really make it part of him.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah. The behind the scenes stories on American Gods is better than the show itself, says someone there. Yeah, I'll tell you what, like, I'm more interested in it now than I ever was, to where I'm like, oh shit, I gotta get in on this. Because honestly, it's the kind of show to where I'm like, this sounds fun, but this also sounds like it's gonna be canceled right away. Let me see if it can make it past 3 seasons before I hop in, because I've been burned so many times on shows now.
I know for a fact it's a show that's better viewed once a whole season is out and you can watch. You can like watch all the episodes one after the other, because I watched that first season like as it was coming out, and I had to go back and watch some previous episodes because I'm like, what the fuck happened last episode?
Yeah. Hell, I'm the biggest booster of Ray Donovan in the world, and I couldn't believe that show came back, and I totally missed it, and I'm still behind on it because no one bothered to promote the show and say it was bad.
No one did.
Not even the actors, and I follow all of them on Twitter. What the hell? Makes me really think this is going to be the last season then.
Yeah.
The fact that no one promoted. But hey, that was always the thing with Ray Donovan. They always ended every season like it was going to be their last, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But alrighty then, what else do we got moving on here? Oh, so Marvel already talking up their next big event for 2020, which I actually think is spinning out of Incoming. I think Incoming is going to be one of those stories that has a bunch of sub-events to it, but the new one they're talking about right now is a mystery, and it's called Empyre, but it's not spelt the way you think it is. The pyre is spelt like a funeral pyre.
Yeah, it also shares the name of an old Nick Fury Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. story.
Yes, it does. And again, S.H.I.E.L.D. has been away for a long time now, which is leading people to assume, is this going to be the story wherein S.H.I.E.L.D. finally comes back in some variety?
I think it's either going to be that, or because we actually haven't properly had it yet, it's going to be something to do with the shit Jason Aaron set up with vampires.
Right, like the Undead Empire, the Vampire Empire. I'm trying to think too, so many comic characters have a yellow and purple color scheme as I look at this yellow and purple font, and I'm like, is it Galactus? Who are they talking about?
Yeah. I tried to do that. I'm thinking, there's too many. There's way too many.
And I'm like, Empire, maybe this is a leftover from Secret Empire. No, they're not going back to that anytime soon. No, they're not going back to that till at least 4 years is up. Maybe more, but we'll see. But yeah, this and Incoming, they're really doing a good job building the mystery where it's like, look, these events are coming. We would love to tell you about these events, but we cannot tell you about these events. They even did a whole thing where CB Sagluski and everyone else involved went on Twitter and they're like, okay, so here's the new event, beep. And so, we're going to be doing this, censor beep. And then someone comes along, censor beep.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right.
I think, though, that they're having too many events. Like there was a time there where it was perfect. They just had like that one event and it was fine and it ran. But now they're sort of going back to that like time just before Secret Empire where we had like 5 events going at once. And this sounds like it with this Incoming, whatever else is happening with like I imagine we'll be getting a sequel to the stuff in Venom.
Right.
What else? We got like that new Champions book stuff like that's happening in that.
Oh, we're talking about that. Yeah. This reminded me of instantly is kind of what DC used to do with their event, where it's like, okay, here's our big crisis, and here's like 6 sub-events that are happening in and around it at the same time to try and like affect all the different families of our books, where it's like, okay, crisis is happening here, but here's an event for the Batman family, the Superman family, the Magic books, Yeah. That's kind of the feeling I'm getting here for what Incoming is going to be, that like Incoming is going to affect all the different stratas of Marvel at different levels, and that Empyre might just be one of them.
Yeah, I think it could be, but as well that they always seem to have like this like they keep it contained, but then suddenly, like near the end of it, it suddenly is like, oh, it's going to start affecting all these other books. Like Party Pug's talking about the Annihilation and the 2099 stuff, which I'm trying to keep up with at the moment, and it's doing that as well. Like where it's sort of like first it was like kind of focused, and now it's sort of like diverging and spreading out.
I mean, I hope if nothing else, they keep it at the length they've kept it at. Because again, War of Realms, short at only 6. Conan Serpent War, again, only going to be 4. These 2099 books, Alpha and Omega, and you can read whatever you want or whatever you don't want. At least it's manageable.
At least, yeah.
I hope they do that. I hope they don't go back to being like, okay, it's a 12-part event. And I'm like, oh, God damn it. So we're going to be reading this the rest of the year, basically.
Yeah.
On that same note, too, you mentioned the Champions. Well, they, too, are getting an event that we know for a fact is spinning out of incoming. In fact, when I talked to Jim Zub a couple weeks ago, I'm like, well, where are we going to see the Champions next? He's like, well, they're coming back in December. And he told me off mic, oh, yeah, they're going to be involved in incoming. And, well, this is what he was talking about, and that is Champions Outlaws from Eve Ewing, who is not actually related to Al Ewing. I know that could be confusing that they both work for Marvel and they have the same last name.
I read that in the news you sent me. I'm thinking, oh, he's misspelled that. That's going to be Al Ewing. And I'm like, oh, wait, no, it's actually...
No.
I'm like, oh, and they're not related.
Yeah, Poet, I think she's a professor, too. I know she's a podcaster as well, and she wrote Ironheart for a little bit there, which everyone said, like, oh, wow, this is actually... much, much better than what Bendis is doing. I actually kind of care about this character when she's writing it. So she knows her way around young heroes. And I will admit, when this news broke, I was a little disappointed in how Marvel chose to sell this event, because the way they chose to sell it was basically like, hey, you love the Civil Wars we do? Well, I'd like one of your Civil Wars. I liked one, and even then, looking back on it, I mean, it's like, I wouldn't even say it's one of your best events. It's better in retrospect because of the movie. Okay, so you love our Civil War events, right? And you love these teen characters. Well, how would you like a junior Civil War? I'm like, I wouldn't like that at all, actually, because the entire reason I like these characters is predicated on the fact that they don't fight each other and that they left and started their own team because they were so mad at their older counterparts for always fighting each other. Well, fuck you, you're getting it anyway.
Yeah, so Miss Marvel is going to be the villain. She's going to try and precog crime.
Oh no! Which again,
with
totally
this kid, not Ulysses.
Yeah, which totally flies in the face of her character, who actively railed against Captain Marvel, and their relationship was never the same again. So, we've learned nothing. But again, that was just the line they used to sell it. There was another interview with Eve Ewing where she talked about it, and she actually made it, had it make a lot more sense. And basically gave the pitch that I'm sure she got hired on. And that is like, look, we see news stories every day about young people trying to change the world, trying to enact change. Basically, they always have since they were like protesting Vietnam back in the day. And their older counterparts are always saying stuff like, oh, children are the future. But also, hey, don't you dare try and actually change anything. You need to be in school. Stop worrying about climate change and the war in Vietnam and getting shot. These are adult problems and we'll handle it. But you're not handling an adult. Yeah, well, fuck you, kids. And that basically seems to be the angle they're taking on this, where, some adult legislator is like, oh, it's too dangerous to be a teen superhero now. We're officially outlawing all teen superheroes. And if we catch you being a teen superhero, you're breaking the law.
Yeah, so this could go either way. This could be a complete shit show, or a really interesting look at these heroes and putting them in a forefront of an event which could actually define them more or less. And
because they don't have a book of their own right now, at least it'd be good to see them in something, even if it is something like this. And apparently, and the other comparison they had to Civil Wars, apparently all of this gets started because a young hero is killed on the job, which again makes people think like, oh God, who are they going to actually kill to kick this up? My money was actually going to be on Sam Alexander because Richard Rider has come back in such a prominent way, but nope, there he is on the cover. He makes it.
Yeah, no, I think it'll probably be like a New Warriors situation where it's like a nobody character. They get Speedball back and he dies again.
or we invent a character just to kill said character.
Yeah, some like hotshot new young hero who gets in over his head or something.
Absolutely. The chat actually brings up Robin War. Yes, everyone, this plot is very similar to the very shitty DC event Robin War. I hate to admit you're right, but you're right. That was literally what that one was. We need to outlaw all the teen Robins, and then all the teen Robins ended up fighting, and that was the story.
Yeah, I don't know. But Alfred this was somehow involved, and
oh god, yeah. Remember Alfred? He was
Didn't he like set it all up or something.
Yeah, he was funding and arming the kids, and like no one ever said that was wrong. Yeah. And like the inner city kids were using their Robin training to fight a bunch of homeless people. And I'm like, this doesn't feel good. This feels bad all over. Yeah, god damn it. But yeah, take your bets, everyone, as to who you think which young hero is going to get the axe in this one.
Yeah, as the chat is saying, it's Amadeus Cho. We haven't seen him for quite a while, so it could be him. And we've got like basically Hulk back, or like everyone loves Bruce Banner Hulk now again. So
it's true. Well, what is it? Amadeus Cho actually showed up in in Hulk, and he's like, Bruce, you're going all Metal Gear right now. I don't know how to deal with this. And he's like, you don't have to deal with it. It's not Earth anymore. It's Planet Hulk. Get in line or get the fuck out of the way. He did that in this new issue too. In this week's issue, nice. He actually told someone, "This isn't Earth anymore. This is Planet Hulk now."
Oh, that's so awesome.
And then he caught a fucking bullet with his hand, and it was great.
Oh, nice.
God, that book is so good. I can see why it's on everyone's like best of the year list, because it really deserves it.
I wish I was reading it so I could put it on my best of the year list.
I actually,
as you said on Twitter, like yours is mostly like Chip Zdarsky stuff, and I like looked at mine and I'm like, hey, yeah, mine is as well.
He did, everything the man touched this year turned to gold.
Yeah.
From Invaders, which no one was reading, but they should because it was great, to his indie series White Trees, to Daredevil, to Spider-Man Life Story. Literally, they were all just fucking bangers, is what they were.
Yeah.
All bangers. I actually scratched out a little top 10 list. I don't know if I'll ever make it into a video, but I don't know. If you're like a patron or something, I'll like put it up there and you can like read my notes and why I chose it.
Yeah.
It was actually really hard to pick some DC books this year for best.
Yeah, I was coming up, I was like, okay, well, I'm definitely doing stuff by Mark Russell. So I've got my Wonder Twins, and I've got like Sam Humphrey stuff with Dial H for Hero.
I wish I could put that on there because I like comedy.
I don't remember if I told you. Did I tell you about Dial H for Hero issue 8 and how they did that fucking issue? Holy shit, man. This is probably the most creative issue I've ever read. It's like an issue that you can read backwards and forwards. And you read it forwards, you get the hero's origin, and you read it backwards. Every even page is the villain's origin.
Oh, wow.
And you can read it either way. To get both sides really of the story.
Clever. Wow, no one does that. No one actually tries to like push the boundary of the comic telling medium. Like that shit you couldn't do with a movie, you couldn't do it with TV.
And not only that, the opening of the comic posits the fact that you like the reader is in the comic and picking up the H dial and dialing H and learning this story.
Huh. That's really fucking cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I could put some comedy. So I got to read Wonder Twins because, again, you gave it such a loving recommendation, and it definitely sounds like something I would enjoy. I tried to show some love to like some miniseries and new writers there, like Thanos by Teenie Howard, 6-issue miniseries, really good Gamora origin. It's basically Beast of No Nation, but in the Marvel universe. It's good stuff.
Nice.
Again, if DC, it was hard. I'm like, Superman smashes the Klan. Yeah, I know it's only one issue, but it's like an extra sized issue, and like it tells basically a complete story on its own, and it looks great. So fuck it.
Yeah, it was very hard to pick DC books.
And here's the thing too, all like the DC books I thought of, like Deceased. I'm like, okay, Deceased is really good. I should put that on there. And White Knight's not done yet, and I don't know if I enjoyed as much as the first one yet. And I'm like, these are all Elseworlds DC stories.
Yeah, they're all out of continuity.
What does that tell you about the current state of DC Comics, that their best stories are ones that happen outside continuity? And hello, Marvel DC fan, thank you for following.
Yes, thank you for the follow.
But yeah, that's Champions Outlaws. It could be fine. It could really you hit the nail on the head, Matt. It could go either way. I will check it out because I like these characters and want to see where they're going with it.
Yeah.
What else do we have there? So here's a story that you can just take completely. I don't know if you heard this, Matt, but this little indie film about the War in the Stars is quite popular. It's going to be coming out in 5 days. It's pretty hot right now. They got game tie-ins and TV show tie-ins, but also they announced a new comic this week, Star Wars Bounty Hunters.
Yes, all the Star Wars comics, they basically come to an end, but they're restarting this week. In phase 2, quote unquote. And this is kind of one that's spinning out of the stuff that was happening recently with Target Vader and in the main Star Wars book, which is Valance, the cyborg bounty hunter who's a holdover from the Legends. They brought him back like in the last.
I was going to say, is he new or?
In the last 6 months, they've been like pushing him hard, and this is why. He's going to be leading a book written by, I think, Ethan Sachs, called Bounty Hunters, and it's going to see him going on bounty hunters missions and running into people like Boba Fett and Bosk and all these wonderful characters.
Geez, Matt, it's like bounty hunters have never been hotter right now in the Star Wars universe or something.
Yeah, so it would be really cool if they gave him like a TV show on something called Disney Plus.
Yeah. I mean, really, just let Bill Burr Cyborg and Ron Perlman Devil show up at some point, please. Man, can you believe that all in one episode?
Yes, I can believe Bill Burr and Clancy Brown and Richard Ayoade all get together to hunt bounties.
That's some cool ass shit, and I'm like, God damn, man, this show, man, this show.
It's so good. It's so good.
Also, as you said on Twitter, and then Bill Burr Cyborg picked up Baby Yoda, and this is the thing that I'm writing in 2019. Also, Bill Burr talking about Gungans. Ah, yeah, Gungan under there. That's a why take off your helmet. That's some good shit. Oh, and them even mentioning Canto Bite too.
Yeah.
Man. Fucking Mandalorians is cool, and this Bounty Hunter book looks cool.
Yeah, this book sounds like it'll be really cool. I'm glad Valance is getting more of a push, since he's shown he can hold his own series since he was the main character in that Target Vader book.
But Matt, how can he be holding his own if he's from the Legends universe and Disney destroyed the whole universe? How can he be back then? Because you can do that. That's what you can do. They didn't destroy it. They just pick and choose now what they want. Why is that so hard for some people to understand?
They've been doing that from the beginning.
How do you think we got fucking Thrawn back, and Thrawn got a mini push there for a bit?
He's still getting pushed. He's getting novels left, right, and center.
Oh, for real? Any good?
Yeah, I haven't read the most recent one, Thrawn Allegiance, but he's getting a sequel to that, and he's had like a trilogy of books in this, and they're all written by Timothy Zahn as well, the guy who created it.
Oh shit!
Basically.
But Disney killed Timothy Zahn, I'm pretty sure. Kathleen Kennedy choked him out, I'm pretty sure, is what I heard on the internet. That's what some guy with a grainy webcam, but I really can't talk at this point. A guy who looked like me said that on the internet.
Yeah, he heard it first because he was hiding under the executive table where Kathleen Kennedy got into a fist fight with J.J. Abrams.
Like
that
in
was
that
a real
Simpsons
story as well. Someone actually tried to like make that a rumor, like her and JJ got into a fist fight in Lucasfilms, and
I don't know who I'd root for in that fight. I mean, Kennedy, they called her Crusher Kennedy back in the amateur MMA circuit. She's known for having a deadly left hook.
Yeah, but with JJ, you never know what he's going to do. It's a mystery.
No, he's wily. He's very unpredictable. He mastered the mystery box. It's like you could fight him, but oh no, he's covered himself in vegetable oil, and now you can't get a hold of him. He turns into a smoke monster and leaves. That's all autobiographical. You could never learn my secret that I was actually a smoke monster all along. Did these smoke monster jokes track anymore? Like, I feel like there's so few people going back and rewatching Lost. Do they know that was a big thing, the fucking smoke monster?
I mean, maybe. I mean, maybe because it's like it was such a big thing. It's still kind of around. I've seen people like mention it every now and then.
Like talking about that, is that like talking about Twin Peaks and coffee and sherry pie and the lodge and brie sandwiches? And it's like, what are you talking about?
I think Twin Peaks there, not many people would know what that means.
No. Which again, if you want to follow, the history and the evolution of the TV mystery series that you had to watch every week to figure it out, I would probably say that Twin Peaks was like the granddaddy of them all.
Yeah, but even then, watching it every week, you wouldn't understand what the fuck's going on because it's David Lynch. He don't give a fuck about narrative.
No, man. But here's some cool ass shit. Here's some backwards talking in a little person you'll never forget. You're right, I won't. But yeah, Bounty Hunters looks fucking cool. Man, I gotta get back into Star Wars comics. Isn't that new Kylo Ren book coming out this week too to coincide with the movie?
Yeah, it is, yeah. That new Kylo Ren book, and the next phase of the Star Wars book starts with Empire Ascendant and them going to Hoth and finding the Hoth base and everything.
Okay, again, I wish I had like a hyperbolic time chamber so I could just sit down and read all the Star Wars that I need to be caught up on now. But maybe that's the good thing about it too, where it's like, look, if you're an obsessive nerd, you can watch all of this. If you're just a regular nerd, you can watch the movies and these TV shows we're going to be doing. I got to get back and watch Resistance too. Resistance came back for a new season and I'm all behind on that.
It's really good. It's really good.
Yeah, from what I hear. I'm excited about that. I got to talk to Jason Inman the other day because I guess he was rewatching Rebels, and we're like, Rebels was great, wasn't it? Yes, it is. It was just nice.
That was it. That was it. It was just nice to see another person from across the room where it's like, yo, Rebels, right? And I'm like, fuck yeah, Rebels. Because I feel Rebels is in that weird place where like everyone was all about it when it was coming out, and it was like the only new Star Wars content they were getting for a bit. But now, as is always the case with Star Wars, people are like, oh, it wasn't even that good. I'm like, fuck you, yeah, it was. Yeah, it was really good.
Freddie Prinze Jr., fucking Kanan, fucking Ezra and Hera, and Chopper, the whole crew. Fuck all y'all. It was the prequel I always wanted. Get out of here.
As well as Tavia says that Resistance got cancelled. It did not get cancelled. It's ending after this season because its story is finished.
Yeah, because again, it takes place in that rather interesting time frame between the old movies and the new movies. And again, they're gonna have a new Star Wars cartoon. They always have. Heck, Clone Wars is coming back for that like extra special season.
Yeah, in February.
Damn, so that's fairly soon, actually.
It is, yeah.
Did you, again, while we're on the Star Wars subject, did you hear the rumors there where they're like, oh, maybe Ahsoka might show up in the new movie or might show up in Mandalorians or something, and everyone was really excited for it?
I did hear that, yeah. I also heard that Dr. Aphra might be getting an animated series.
Ooh, I'd watch the shit out of that. She's a good, fun character. And again, something that Disney can actually point to and be like, no, we invented this. This is new. This is ours.
Yes, and it's a great creation as well. One of the most fleshed out characters they've created.
That would be super, super cool. It's funny, the Ahsoka thing led a lot of people to say, remember when everyone hated Ahsoka when the first like Clone Wars animated movie came out and everyone said she was the worst and the downfall of Star Wars? Now everybody loves her. Is she not a perfect encapsulation of how Star Wars and the fan base kind of react to each other? I hate you now, but I'll like you later, though.
Yeah, I'll like you later when something new comes out.
For me to hate, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is maybe kind of the genius part of Star Wars. If we never stop making new things, then eventually...
Eventually we'll get into that rhythm where they like the things we just made.
Yeah, it's fucking genius. It's evil genius is what it is. It's Mickey Mouse being like, oh, we thought of everything. Oh, get ready for this. All right, what other news do we got coming down here? Oh, Shazam 2 finally has a date for 2022.
Yeah, only a couple of months after Black Adam apparently comes out.
Yeah, very interesting. So don't be surprised if Billy Batson and the Shazam family get a nice little push a couple years from now to coincide with this.
Yeah, this will be around the time the next issue of Shazam comes out.
Yeah, which I'm really looking forward to. Issue 9 looks like it's going to be really good. They finally named the next Guardian of Magic, so it's good stuff. It's a shame we have to wait 2 years in between issues, but it's good stuff. And Jeff Johns knows what he did, so. But no, seriously, the Shazam comic and that is the DC one I put on my list because I feel like that's almost like rebellious to DC right now. One of the best books you have coming out is one you don't give a shit about.
Yeah, the one that you always try and like shove under the table and not like release.
And not reference in any of their events. I love Shazam is one of the Infected Secret Six, and we've gotten like 2 to 3 different tie-ins with him that don't reference anything Jeff Johns is doing.
Yeah, and it makes them even worse because of that.
Yes. Such a shame. That book is really well done. But I'm glad this one finally got a sequel, especially because, it had a soft box office, which is a fucking shame.
Oh, it really everyone fucking slept on this film, and it was delightful.
Also, thank you, Party Pug, for the cheers. Most appreciated.
Yeah, cheers.
And we're going to get to tell everyone why we liked that movie so much, because that's going to be our big Christmas Day commentary, everyone. So get ready for that. But yeah, everyone slept on that first Shazam, but I think, stylistically, the good faith that God is kind of bleeding over into the other ones now, because between how Aquaman was a little bit more brighter and a little bit more accessible, and how Wonder Woman is looking like Wonder Woman from the comics now.
Yeah, it's definitely it's that film that was kind of like that catalyst that was needed for DC to realize, oh wait, no, people actually do like these like kind of lighthearted like heroes people could actually look up to.
Yeah. Hey, it might not have made all the money we wanted, but it's getting a lot of really good word of mouth and people actually sound happy.
Yeah, people are happy to talk about these films.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, and it also means that David F. Sandberg will be coming back for the sequel, which I'm more than happy. That dude's really fun. And I follow him on Twitter, and it's really because he every now and then he does like things where it's like someone asked him, because he voices Mr. Mind in the film. And people asked him like, oh, how'd you do that effect? And he's like, well, I'm just gonna do a tutorial to show you how I did it. and he just like did this like quick tutorial on his like iPad on how he did it. And I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Wow.
We need more directors like that.
Definitely. And hey, again, we mentioned the Jeff Johns connection. That first Shazam movie is so heavily based on Jeff Johns' New 52 run. It's like, what are they going to do for the sequel? Well, they better wait to 2022 so Jeff Johns can write more so they can do the sequel. Because it would feel weird if they based it on anything else, because literally they invented his family and gave them powers, and they're brand new fucking creations.
Yeah. It'd be really interesting to see what they do with the sequel. Like, they obviously got Black Adam. Like, will Black Adam feed into this? Like, sort of tie into it, as Black Adam might be the villain of the second Shazam. Though I hope he isn't. Yeah, I hope they do like the Mr. Mind stuff and the Savannah stuff that was teased at the end of the first one.
Definitely, that would be fun. So yeah, it's going to be a good big year for Shazam. Coming very soon. This also came on the heels too of apparently they're going to get Flash together too for some time in like 2022, 2020 at some point. We don't know.
I'll believe that once the cameras finish rolling and I see a first trailer for it.
Exactly. I am much more believing in Shazam coming out than I am the Flash coming out.
Which is fucking insane to think, isn't it?
Tell me about it, man. And again, too, the reason they said where it's like, well, why haven't you started Flash? Because Ezra Miller is committed to a third Fantastic Beasts movies. I'm like, God damn, there's going to be another one of those.
And not only that, they're not even filming that like at the moment or anything. And the last one was what, almost a year ago. So it's not as though he's just been like sitting around just saying, well, I've got this Harry Potter film coming out, just got to sit here.
I think he keeps putting it off where it's like, oh, what's that? Knock, knock. Oh, that's J.K. Rowling calling me, everyone. I got to go now.
Also, I wonder what happened with that script that he and Grant Morrison apparently wrote.
Yes, please. What is up with that? That was the weirdest story we ever talked about where it's like, oh, Ezra Miller and Grant Morrison are writing a script now. And I'm like, why? Why is your star writing the same script?
Yeah, that's bad.
It Is the writer going to be starring in it now? Like, what the fuck? Is this opposite day? What's going on? Is it in such a bad way that Ezra Miller's like, okay, you guys can't do this, so I got a real comic writer to come in and talk to us?
Yeah, but he went too far in that. He's like, I got the comic book writer, and it's like Grant Morrison. Oh, and then the Flash travels into the fucking Depressoverse and meets like the Charles Manson version of himself. That's something that happened in Black Stars issue 2, actually.
I don't fucking doubt it.
Yeah, Batman met the Charles Manson version of himself.
That's pretty dope. See, maybe that's the reason we have to wait to 2022, because they got Grant Morrison to come in. And he's like, all right, so first things first, you need to expand your minds. I'm going to hand out some peyote and we're all going to do it together. And it's going to be a real grown experience. And then they just had really bad highs that they never came down from. And it's like, okay, so what did you guys write on the script? All the words to the Happy Days theme song.
He smoked all the peyote in the world.
And the head of like Warner Brothers Films is like, guys, we gave you a year and this is it. You've just been doing drugs with Grant Morrison in his castle. Yes. 2022, I guess. People have to wait, I guess.
And they got the guy that made it to direct it. That is until, producers get involved and he leaves for creative purposes. Creative differences.
Which seems to be happening a lot. And again, it's just so mind-blowing. It's like, why can't you make the Flash work? He should be the most easy.
It's almost like there's like a TV show that does it and does it really well.
That does it for multiple episodes and, does it really well and has tackled basically all the big Flash stories we know. And hey, man, that's a good segue, actually, because what happened last week?
Last week we had Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yes, I finally had a chance to get all caught up because the first part aired last Sunday and I couldn't watch it because I was doing the show and prepping and everything. But yeah, we got 3 of the big 4 episodes. We got to wait till January. Oh, is it really 5? Okay, so we got 3 of 5, and the next 2 are going to air in January, and that is obviously because Legends is coming back, and Legends gets an episode, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and it finishes off Arrow, and leads into Legends Season 5.
Yeah, so yeah, we watched the first 3 episodes. We can talk about it now. What did we think?
I thought it was fantastic.
I liked it a lot, too. I will say that last episode was a little meandery, but that's fine because this is basically as close as you're going to get to them adapting a major DC comic book event for the screen, and all my favorite events are meandering in the middle.
Yeah, for them to be able to do this on TV with a TV budget, like not like TV as in HBO TV, but like network TV, is pretty impressive.
Very, very, that they have all these characters and all these effects and all these costumes and everything going on, and that it makes sense and is super cool and is also paying off like character arcs and stuff from other shows. I'll say this. Some of these crises in past, because we've had a few others before this, really kind of played favorites with, okay, you're the real star of this. You're the one getting the real development. We're paying off your stuff from your show here. This one felt like it was a lot more even-handed on, kind of paying respect to everybody and letting everyone be the star.
Well, that's what's really cool about this event. So, like past events, each of the tie-in episodes has actually just been like an episode of The Flash, an episode of Supergirl. Whereas this, they're not titled that at all. They're just titled Crisis Part 1, Part 2. And because of that, it's not just that one character's episode. It's all of these characters. Like the Supergirl episode didn't even feel like a Supergirl like episode. It was just like all of these characters together.
I will admit I had to do a little bit of catch up because I don't watch Arrow naturally. I think that's been well reported. So I'm like, okay, but you were filling me in. It's like, okay, he's been traveling the multiverse now. Oh, he has a daughter now. Oh, and his daughter is Mia. Okay, whatever. Yeah. I wasn't gonna get my Mia anyway, but that's neither here nor there. She seems fine. he's grown a lot. He's, doing some things, and he's putting all his affairs in order. Because again, you can basically see Stephen Amell looking for the door. It's like any time now. I'm gonna be out here any time now. Quick, kill me very early on, please.
That's one thing I didn't expect this crisis to do, because I knew Oliver was going to end up being killed, because that was the whole thing in Elseworlds. It was him trading his life for Supergirl and Flashes, and we knew he was going to die. But yeah, for him to kill him off in the first episode was pretty interesting, pretty ballsy.
And to have him die by Wraith, which is very similar to how he died in the actual Crisis on Infinite Earth storyline.
Yeah, it is. I thought that was really cool.
Oh my God, did the people who made this actually read a comic?
Yeah, someone on Twitter was like, remember when they were afraid to call him Green Arrow, and now he's in a mask fighting with Superman and the Flash and all of that?
Come a long way. Come a very, very long way, which that's fine by me. That's pretty cool. Yeah. I must admit. They pay off a lot of stuff with Luthor and his sister and everything, which, again, I only really hear about that from you. But, man, I was surprised all the love that family got. And holy shit, John Cryer's great.
Oh, my God. He is, one of the best Luthors ever. He is especially Luthor-esque in these crossovers. He's just I'm glad he plays that maniacal Luthor, whereas I've got to kill all the Superman in the fucking universes and use the book of Destiny and all that sort of shit.
Which, nice callback, because I had forgotten the whole Book of Destiny thing, and I'm like, ooh, that's a good MacGuffin to use here. And you're right, this is a very particular type of Luthor we see here, who we often see in the big DC events, and that is look, yeah, you got your monitors, you got your world ending, blah, 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 blah. I'm Luthor, and I'm just going to be the wrench in everyone's schemes, because I'm only ever working for myself all the time.
Yeah, he's brilliant in this role, and hams it up a little bit, and it's just great. It's great.
I think the scene that had everyone talking was, of course, his big showdown with the Smallville Superman, Tom Welling, returning.
Yeah, in a really nice kind of send off for that character. Whereas if that was the last we saw, I'd be like, yeah, that's cool. He got a happy ending.
And he still never put the fucking costume on.
I'm fine with that. I am completely fine with that.
That's okay. I did love it too, because I get the feeling that Smallville has been over for a long enough time now that the people watching this would be like, wait, who's that guy? Was he on a show? Wait, what? But yet when you see him as Clark Kent Superman and you see Cryer as Luthor, it's this real magical moment, because it's oh, they are so embodying their characters. This could happen at any point in any continuity in any universe, and you get the feeling.
Yeah, it's great.
They sell it so super hard, and then having to be yeah, this kryptonite would hurt me, but I gave up my powers, and also, hey, even without them, still stronger than you. And I'm like, oh, that's so good, and that makes him so much madder.
That was a really fun thing about I'm not gonna kill this guy because he's not Superman, because he's taking the fun out of it, as he says.
Yeah, absolutely. Then, of course, you have, Brandon Routh getting the ultimate karmatic do-over as Superman. The Kingdom Come Superman. And
it's been 100% confirmed he's the Donnerverse Superman. So he's Christopher Reeve's Superman.
Hot damn, who's also wearing the Kingdom Come suit, and is also a little bit Injustice Superman, because the Joker killed all his friends.
Well, see, that's the interesting thing. It's like Kingdom Come, but it's alternate universe Kingdom Come, where the Kingdom Come stuff happened, but he didn't give up on the Earth. Ruin him. He didn't give up on the world, and it kind of strengthened him in a way, because as he says to Iris and Lois about his heirs, how he's he added the black because the red cuts through the hope cuts through the darkness.
We also get to see him and Tyler Hoechlin fight there, so we get a Superman versus Superman fight, which is always fun to see.
That was great.
Great stuff. Totally great stuff. What else? There's just so much to like and so much. Literally, this whole first three is just nonstop wall-to-wall fan service.
Oh, yeah, and it's fan service that is in service of the story as well. It's not just there.
And feels deserved.
Yeah, not just there because of it. Yeah, and it does feel deserved, because these shows have been on for almost the better part of 10 years.
Yeah, this is them taking one giant big victory lap I mean, I think we can all agree the coolest is getting to see frickin' Kevin Conroy play a multiversal Batman, and they nail that scene so right because you hear his voice before you see him.
Oh, that was so good. That was so that voice.
Also, we get a cool guy shredded Luke.
Yeah, a Luke who's actually like the Luke in the comics. I'm like, can this like Earth 99 Luke just come back to like Earth 1? Can he be the only one saved?
I do like that's them calling it out where it's like, look, he's a little closer to his comic counterpart. Maybe he'll be closer to this guy one day.
One day.
Also, I'm sure that actor's super stoked. It's like, oh, I get to show my abs. Yeah, man, I haven't eaten a carb in like 8 years.
Yeah, I was told I was going to be Luke Fox, the Batwing.
Yeah, come on, I gotta show my abs, man. Abs, bro. Yeah. Abs.
But yeah, Kevin Conroy's Bruce Wayne, I liked that they kind of went the other way with where I thought where he was going to be like a good guy, because it's Kevin Conroy. Totally. And I'm like, oh no, they actually made him like an evil psychopath Batman. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I like that.
They basically had a little horror movie there where they kept peeling back the layers, and it's like, huh, this Batman keeps a lot of really gross trophies from people he's killed. Oh, he killed this world's Superman. Oh no, he's quoting Dark Knight Returns now. Fuck. The world only makes sense when you force it to.
Yeah, oh no, his suit is powered by kryptonite. Oh no.
Yeah, shit. Bit off more than we can chew on this one. Also, that was a great team-up piece for Supergirl and Batwoman, who they're like, yep, this is our universe's, what is it? These are the two. These are the
world's
ones.
Finest, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly.
What I liked about that as well is they actually gave like Kate some actual character development, like more so than what her show has done so far.
I'm behind on that, but yeah.
And like it actually gave her a chance to talk to Bruce and find out that like even though this is like an alternate universe, Bruce kind of like had that like sort of don't meet your hero moment where she's like, oh yeah,
you're right.
I'm gonna like do my own thing, and then it's revealed she's like what, the paragon of courage.
Yes.
Yeah, and it helps bolster that, and hopefully that carries on in her show going forward.
Yeah, let's talk about the Paragon thing. You know, like most great comic events, we need a MacGuffin hunt on top of this as well. And we can't do stones, so now we're going to have people who are Paragons, who, you know, represent the very best of hero kind. And shocker, most of the Paragons are on the ship already. Ain't that convenient?
Yeah, most of the Paragons are like the main characters of these TV shows.
Well, that's lucky.
Yeah, most characters and Ryan Choi.
Ryan Choi, who's a new character who absolutely worships the Atom, naturally, because he's going to become the Atom.
Yeah, although I don't think he does in this show. He's a fan of Ray Palmer, but I don't think he's aware that Ray Palmer is the Atom.
Well, they're keeping that in their back pocket, though, just in case. Did you catch the thing, too, what his daughter's name was?
I didn't, but I know it's related to like what she becomes in the comics.
Well, his daughter's name is Simone. Gail Simone wrote like the biggest, longest Ryan Choi run. So there you go. Yes.
I didn't notice that. I know people were saying like, oh, they referenced his wife and daughter. That's like something that happens in the comics.
Yeah, which is cool to me. But yeah, so he's really great in there. We get the amazing Batman scene, all the Superman stuff. I guess something I wasn't crazy about, but something I ended up coming around to after a fact is, again, they kill off Green Arrow early on, and then it's like, oh, we got to use the Lazarus Pit. We got to go on this whole side adventure to resurrect Ollie. And I'm just like, well, isn't this kind of busy work? But they pay it off, though, with the Lucifer cameo.
That Lucifer cameo was pretty damn good. Pretty perfect.
That was, which, again, I bet you didn't think that we get the Lucifer cameo, we get the Birds of Prey cameo from a Destroyed Earth, we get a Burt Ward cameo from his Destroyed Earth, and then they also reference, what is it, the DC Plus DC Universe Titan show only to destroy their universe.
I like that because it made so many people angry. I'm like, your world is destroyed.
I could just see Matt being like, yummy, yummy tears, num, 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 num.
Yeah, no, that was cool. We got a reference to Batman 89 as well at the start with Robert Roll reprising his character as Nox from that film.
Yes, in Universe 89.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, Yeah, I wasn't too hot about that Lazarus Pit thing, mainly because of like the characters involved know about the Lazarus Pit, and
They
Sarah was
really
like
should
kind
know
of
that.
like trying to convince me not to do it, but she didn't do it. She wasn't like trying hard enough, I don't think, where she should have been
No,
like,
she
no,
was.
you can't use, like, these pits are fucking dangerous. No, don't. We
I
destroyed them for a
I mean,
reason.
and it's like, I guess, yeah, he's a paragon and they need him back too because of that. But it's like they were already doing that before they knew about the paragon thing.
Yeah, yeah. And then in the end, it's like he
So
doesn't
it's
want to
like,
come back. Although I do suspect that he's going to come back as the Spectre.
oh yeah, the Spectre. Man, that's a great scene in terms of continuity when the Spectre shows up and he's like, "Hey, John Constantine, I'm Jim Corrigan, the Spectre. No, not the one you know from your short-lived show. I'm a different one."
Yeah, no, I have a feeling that he's going to come back as the Spectre, and he's already kind of dressing like the Spectre anyway, with like the hood's always up, and like all he needs is like for him to just like have the spirit of vengeance like inhabit his body, and as well as like the Spectre is a big part of the Crisis on Infinite Earth storyline as well.
Yeah. It's also a nice kind of thing where it's like, oh, in the comics, Green Arrow is best friends with Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, who became Spectre for a long period of time. We don't have a Hal Jordan in this show, so yeah, let's give it to Ollie then.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense where his story arc is going. I would not be surprised that's the next time we see him as like the Spectre.
That also means he can come and go from the show as he please, and it's also a reason for him to get back into it in case like his Hollywood aspirations or wherever he's going next doesn't work out.
Yes, and we know for a fact that they often don't work out, as referenced by Roy Harper, who's coming back, who's already back on Arrow. and I think
funny.
and Kid Flash is coming
I
back
hope
after Crisis as well.
Oh, is he? Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that guy, it wasn't because he wanted to do other things. He was having genuinely like a lot of breakdowns in his real life. But I hope it works well for Stephen Amell. He seems like a nice guy. I never really got into Arrow, but he seems pretty cool and everything. But yeah, like you said, it doesn't always work out. Plenty of people get lots of offers when you're headlining a big show, but then as soon as you quit that show, you see how quickly they all go away.
Well, like as well, like he already kind of dipped his toe in it, because remember he was fucking
Casey Jones.
Casey Jones in that fucking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, and he didn't come back for the sequel.
No, I vaguely know about that, but yeah, more power to him. Oh, I guess the other thing we have to talk about, because obviously it was the storyline that I was most invested in, and probably the storyline that they dragged out the longest. Well, dragged out's the wrong word. The storyline they've been dealing with the longest. Flash disappearing / dying in the Crisis.
Yeah, and they did it in a way that was so obvious I never even thought about it.
I know, right? I totally agree. I felt so dumb watching that. And I was like, hey, that's stupid. And then I'm like, no, Joel, you're stupid because you didn't think of it. The show is actually using very good comic book logic. And that is like, look, we said the Flash disappeared in the Crisis. We said Barry Allen disappeared in the Crisis. There's multiple Earths. We didn't say which one. You've met another Barry Allen from another universe who is the 90s TV show Barry Allen. They even use a clip from his show.
Yeah, they used a clip from the finale, the last episode of his show, which perfect payoff for that. But yeah, like I thought that was brilliant, using him so like kind of like gives him a send off, gives his character from that 90s show a send off as well. Yeah, it was really well done. Kind of exactly like the comics. You know, he has to run on this thing to like stop the antimatter wave, and then you see at the end he disintegrates, and you see like the flash, not the Flash ring, it's the Flash like symbol.
Don't worry though. I'm sure if they ever need John Wesley's ship, he can come out of the Speed Force and punch someone in the face as need be.
Well, he can come back. He's still Jay Garrick, like without his speed on Earth.
That's true.
Whatever it was.
That's going to be the next one. Crisis on Infinite Jays. It's just all the John Wesley ship characters hanging out together.
That'd be great.
Lord knows there's plenty of the Black Lightning also got to make his debut here, which, is something people have been waiting on for a long time. Because it's like, hey, it's weird that you don't let this guy join in on all the other crises. Oh, but he's on a different Earth. Yeah, but Supergirl is too. Why? What's your problem? His show is clearly popular and continuing. Why particularly do you not want Black Lightning to come and hang out?
I know why. Because the guy's acting is like leaps and bounds ahead of everyone else's. Like, that dude was selling it on that, especially in that once he learned like his family and his Earth has been destroyed, and that little conversation he has with Flash in the Wave Rider is like, that dude is selling it.
That's some heavy duty shit. And also like, hey man, you get to join the crisis, but we destroyed your Earth and killed all your supporting characters. But yeah, he really works it. And then later when he gets that little conversation with Barry and they talk about their fathers and everything and how, important they were in making them the men they were, I'm like, man, this is some good shit. Why didn't he get to hang out in the other crossovers? Please mean that this will be the beginning of more crossovers. Or, assumedly, we're going to fuse all the Earths together and then they'll just all get to live together.
Yeah, I also like his little moment, like, realizing that the Superman were real. Because it's really funny, because, like, the episodes I've seen, Black Lightning, like, Jefferson is, like, a Superman fan. So yes, for him, he's, like, validated in knowing that Superman actually exists.
Yes, that's really a really nice touch. Funny too about Black Lightning. I never got a chance to go back and watch them all, but hilariously, and this is going to make you all laugh, my mom has really gotten into Netflix in the last little bit, and she sat down and watched like all of Black Lightning is caught up, and I know she was because she was texting me every so often. She's like, "Hey, who's Looker? Hey, who's this character? What is that a reference to something?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Mom, they're all references." And she'd tell me these things. I'd be like, "Really? They're doing that? Really? That character showed up? Oh, well, that's fun."
I kind of want to go back and watch the most recent Black Lightning episode because apparently it was like slightly crisis tied in, as in like the crisis was happening on their Earth while like Black Lightning disappears and everything.
Interesting. Yeah, that sounds like something that I would probably enjoy. That is one of the few ones that is on Netflix, so we can actually go and check it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what else can we say about Crisis? I mean, I guess we can move in and talk about the big finale, and that is seemingly everyone dies, everyone loses, the Anti-Monitor wins, but there's a bit of a twist to it.
Yeah, the surviving the Paragons get taken to the Vanishing Point, which is from Legends, and it's like, and something from the actual comics as well.
I was not expecting a callback to Legends Season 1, but I'm glad that out of all of it, it was the Vanishing Point.
Are we gonna get more Rip Hunter and the Linear Men?
Oh, I hope not.
Hey, maybe they might make him good.
This shows. Well, actually, they did, because they brought him back as a director who didn't know he was Rip Hunter, and that was actually fun.
yeah, that's really true.
Bring back that version.
But yeah, they bring him all there, and then Lex Luthor does the most Lex Luthor thing ever, and that he kills the last Superman, and takes his place as a Paragon.
It's funny, I saw him fucking with the book. I'm like, he stole a page, everyone look. And then I forgot about it. And then it happened at the end, and I'm like, oh shit, Lex, you surprised me.
I do like that, like, this book is so easily rewritten that he just like writes his name over the Paragon symbol and it works.
Yep. And
again, but again, it's like Luthor is like, oh, I can't believe that worked.
Yeah. And again, it's like, well, how come only Lex can make it work? Well, because he's the most willful person in the world, because he's the most assured of himself.
Yeah.
And everything he can do. And again, if you're going to have a cliffhanger, that's a pretty fucking solid cliffhanger for the first three.
That is. I'm intrigued to see where it goes next. Like, where can it go from here? Like, everything is destroyed.
Yeah, everyone is dead. Everything is destroyed. Everything's screwed up. Maybe we'll get to do a couple episodes like in the Anti-Monitor's rebuilt universe, because it's like, okay, well, what is his reasoning for rebuilding everything?
Well, I know it might be the next episode that airs, or the episode after, but apparently they dive into the Monitor's origins and find out where he comes from and everything. I'm like, oh,
that's good.
To bring in the Perpetua.
Yeah, really. Will they go that far? Will they be like, and his mom was prepared? No, I don't. They do say that his name is Mobius, the Anti-Monitor, and that's a fairly new thing. So
yeah, that's true. And his design is more like his new design that we saw at the end of Jeff Johns' Justice League run.
Yeah, with his puffy monster face and his newer armor.
Yeah.
Man, wouldn't it be some shit where it's like, well, who are we going to go for help now? What about the new gods who exist outside time and space?
Hey, we still got like apparently cameos that they haven't even filmed yet to come.
That's nuts.
So yeah,
who haven't they done yet?
Well, in terms of cameos?
Yeah, who haven't they done yet? Because it feels like they've paid homage to like every DC TV thing.
I know. Mark Guggenheim said there was people that they couldn't get, like, because of scheduling. So maybe this is like them getting them back, and it might be just like little one-off cameos. But yeah, I know he did say that it's not going to happen. Although you never know because it's fucking Nick Cage. But they contacted him to play Superman from his failed Superman film. I'm like, could happen. I mean, it's Nick Cage. He'll do fucking anything for money.
As we've seen, where it's like, look, you do direct-to-DVD schlock, naturally he'll want to do this.
Yeah, and he's a Superman fan, so I could see him say, yeah, maybe. Superman.
I'm trying to think, what other like failed projects could they like maybe try and get in there? Gotham. I mean, I guess that's a Fox thing, so maybe they can't do Gotham. But I'm surprised they didn't try and do some Gotham connection.
Yeah, it was just one of the many Earths that died. I know they've got a tie-in comic coming out. That kind of fills in the gaps of like where like Flash and all that was during like the first episode, and with what Felicity is up to, because they mention that sort of stuff in the show.
They do.
So that's going to pay off, and I know like it has also to do with Tom Cavanaugh's prior, who goes to like different Earths and sees all these like Supermen get killed and all that sort of stuff.
The chat mentioned Michael Rosenbaum there, who they couldn't reach a thing with. He's the first person who's like, no, I wasn't going to show up short notice without a script and just like, just to be there and to be paid scale.
Makes sense. Krypton couldn't happen because of scheduling. They actually tried to get them all there, but that couldn't happen because of scheduling. Gee, I don't know, eh?
Yeah, what are some
there's
really
probably
weird
one that's
ones?
like so like obvious that we haven't thought of it,
but also obscure, because it's like, god damn, if fucking Birds of Prey can get referenced in there like the old TV show, then anything can get referenced.
Yeah, I know they tried to get Alan Richardson, the guy who plays Hawk on Titans, who is actually in this, for a brief second. They tried to get him back as the Smallville Aquaman, but again scheduling, I think, with Titans actually fucked that up.
That's a shame. Maybe Stargirl will show up in here. Maybe we'll see her here first, because we now know officially.
I think she might, because I do remember hearing something that like she was going to make her debut in Crisis, and then like her show was going to...
I heard that too.
Because her show's coming to CW as well.
We know that officially. Hey, sorry, people who are paying money for the DC Universe app. Apparently, all you get exclusive is Harley Quinn, and even then, not really, because TBS is doing a special one-night engagement, and the first episode is free online.
Yeah, I find that so hilarious. It's like, you can pay for this app to get like exclusive originals, which are all on like Netflix or like as you said, on TV, or in this case, you should just like wait an extra day and it'll be on free-to-air TV.
I really wonder how that Stargirl show is going to go, because I saw the trailer and I'm like, well, yeah, this looks very much in line with everything they've been doing on CW. I'm like, but it wasn't meant to be a CW show originally. Did they cut this trailer to make it look more CW? Is the first season of this going to be like really expensive compared to all the other shows, or like what's the deal?
That's the thing. I think it might be a bit expensive, like on that first season, because it was made for the app. They got some pretty like decent casting, like
big names.
Joel McHale is fucking Sylvester Pemberton, fucking Owen Wilson's brother. Fuck, what's his name? Luke. He's who's his partner? Stripes. Yeah, Stripes, and they got some pretty big names.
Which they've kind of recontextualized that relationship, where it's like, oh yeah, I was your dad's sidekick too. Here's me as like a little junior hero, as like a little Bucky with a striped shirt, and I'm like, oh, okay, so we're not going right to the big robot. Interesting.
Yeah, the robot is in the show though.
Interesting, because that's the one everyone knows from the Justice League cartoon and the Jeff Johns series, where it's, hey, I'm Courtney Stargirl, and my stepdad is Stripes, Stars and Stripes.
Yeah, it looks interesting. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of story potential there. You know, I feel Stargirl is one of those things where it's like, man, DC, you probably should have put more time and effort into this, and you probably could have had another, like, you know, very prominent female hero. But as DC tends to do, bored now.
Yeah.
Also, we can't even get like a Wonder Woman series that doesn't get rebooted every so often. So why would we do this passion project of yours, Jeff Johns, named for your sister? So no, we're not gonna. Even back then, no Jeff Johns. Hey, you know, it should tell you what kind of Jeff Johns is, because he ran the company for a little bit, and his idea wasn't like, okay, so we need to do more stuff with Stargirl, my original creation.
Yeah.
So at least he ain't one of those guys. But yeah, I guess that's everything for Crisis. That's everything for this week. Anything else you want to add, Matt?
No, not really. Crisis was really good, and looking forward to the last 2 episodes.
As a my man, you know, with Crisis on Earth Acts 2, which is still probably my favorite. This one might overtake it, but who knows? I really wish that they would, like, you know, sell versions of these all edited together into like one big like theater length movie, because I think that would do really well.
I'm surprised they haven't done that, eh? Like, yeah, like put all the episodes together and just like make them look like cinema quality sort of stuff. And yeah, that'd be really interesting for them to do, especially with something like this Crisis of Infinite Earths. I'd love for them to do that, or like air all the episodes as like one big block.
Yeah, like if I could see this in a movie theater, I would go see this in a movie theater. I hope they don't get that idea, though, to be like, all right, pay us movie fees to come see this in a movie theater. I'm like, no. I've been getting the milk for free on television. Ain't gonna make me pay for the cow now, CW.
I would do it if I knew that money was going to go back straight into the studio for them to make their next crossover.
Yeah, or another musical episode. I liked the musical episode.
Speaking of that, like, what do you think their next crossover will be?
Yeah, I mean, like, Infinite Crisis, that's like the biggest one. Where do you go after that?
I would like them to do something smaller and a bit more intimate. Something like an Identity Crisis, but make it better than Identity Crisis. Make it more competent.
Yeah, please do something a little bit better. Yeah, I think there's lots of places they could go for sure. I mean, DC isn't hurting for Crisis stories. They'll do the Dark Multiverse is what they'll do.
Yeah, there's no way they're adapting Final Crisis, Tevya. If you've read that, like, you'll know that there's no way that's getting fucking adapted.
That's like damn near unadaptable. But who knows? And then Grant Morrison himself comes down.
And tells you to put these 3D glasses on while reading these Superman pages, because it's all in 3D.
Put the fucking glasses on, everybody. Also, by that time, too, by the time they make another Crisis, there'll be a Superman and Lois show.
Yeah. Again, you can do so much. You can do so much with all this.
You really can. Well, all right then, everyone. I guess this is where we'll start winding down the show. Again, if you're watching this on Wednesday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time when the show goes live, stick around because you're getting another awesome new interview segment. I sat down with Mathew Rosenberg. It was a ton of fun. For everyone here on stream, there was about 30 of you at one point. Thanks for coming out. Thanks, Party Pug, for the little donation there. Always appreciated, especially in this Christmas season. You got anything else coming up, Matt, you want to talk about? Anything at all?
I got part 2 of my Crisis of Infinite Earth video coming out sometime this week. I was hoping to get it done by now, but comic reviews just swamped me. I feel you. I'm thinking of doing, like, because I've got my Rise of Skywalker review coming out in a couple of days, and I'm thinking of doing, because the episode of Mandalorian also airs there, so I'll probably be doing a Mandalorian live stream, but I also might tag on to the end of that, like, a Rise of Skywalker like live review or talk or something. I don't know, so keep an eye out for that.
I look forward to you seeing the movie before the rest of us, and then trolling us all on Twitter by being like, can you believe that Luke came back and ate that baby's face? Can you believe that the Emperor was actually, I don't fucking know, Lando in a mask or something?
Friendship all along.
The real Skywalker was the friends we made along the way. It's what it really is. And on that note, everyone, we're going to bring the show to a close. And with that, I am going to throw over to myself in the past. So with that, everyone, bye-bye.
Bye.
And hello and welcome everyone to another Comic Multiverse interview segment. It's the holiday season right now, and my cup continues to run over with great guests. You know him, you love him. If you watch the channel, you know I'm a fan of him. I'm really happy he's here with me today, Mr. Mathew Rosenberg, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for making time to come and talk to me. This is always a very, very pleasant surprise. Now, I guess we can start this interview at the beginning, I suppose, and well, I know the answer. Maybe other people don't. What is your comic book writer origin story? How did you start? How did you get into the business, etc., etc.?
Yeah, so I've been a comic fan my whole life. I grew up stealing my brother's comics when I was a kid, and I had a comic shop on my block, so I sort of have always, that's the dream. I really, really wish that I still had a comic book store on my block.
Tell me about it, man. I got to go 2 towns over to the local college town to get one. I'm mostly digital these days.
Oof, it's rough. I just take the subway to Times Square, but yeah, but comics for me was always really solitary. I didn't have a lot of friends who read comics, and I sort of, I would go buy my comics and then read them by myself, and it was just sort of a me thing, and it was very personal to me. And because of that, like, I didn't know anyone who made comics. I didn't really talk to other people about comics, and I when I became a grown-up, I worked in the music business for a long time, and yeah, I toured with bands, and I ran a record label, and I managed a record store, and I did all sorts of dumb music business jobs. And, I just hit a point, the music industry is really tough and really intense and kind of depressing, and I just hit a point where I was starting to hate music as just a concept.
Right.
I kind of didn't want to lose that, and so I was trying to figure out, like, well, what else can I do with my time? And what else can I do for a living? And I was like, well, the only other thing I like as much as music is comics, and I guess I want to try and figure out how to make comics. But I didn't know anything about it, and my buddy Patrick Kinlan was in a band, is in bands, and he was a big comic book nerd like me, and I was like, we should try and make comics together, and he was like, yes. I was thinking the same thing.
Like all great stories.
Yeah, sure. And we just teamed up and sort of like literally we're going out and reading like websites on like how comics are made, and like like going and being like, how do you find an artist? And like, because we just had never tried to do it. It was never one of those things. I know a lot of like my peers were sort of like, since I was 10 I've wanted to make comics, but that wasn't me. I just wanted to read them. And so we set out and we spent a couple years doing pitches and self-publishing and doing a web comic. And then my big break, as it were, was I got someone put me in touch with members of the Wu-Tang Clan. Ooh. And I ended up doing...
They ain't nothing to fuck with.
It's true. I would not fuck with them. I ended up doing a 6-issue miniseries with RZA and Ghostface and like a ton of good artists, and it was my first published work. It was at Black Mask, and that did well enough at Black Mask that they didn't hate me and were willing to hear other pitches, and it got the attention of some folks at Marvel, and I think just because it had good art and there was like some mainstream media coverage of it.
I remember seeing it on the shelf, yeah.
Yeah. And so I got a book called We Can Never Go Home at Black Mask that came out right after. That was just my own story that I wanted to do, and it was something that I was trying to do self-published, and it didn't quite work. And from there, that book was kind of a hit, and some folks at Marvel really dug that, and they gave me a shot, and I did a 10-page story in Secret Wars Journal.
Yes.
Yes, the much beloved title, Secret Wars Journal. But I did an X-Men story. There's also a really good Hawkeye story in that issue, if you read Secret Wars Journal 1.
I noticed Hawkeye's kind of a recurring theme in your career. You keep coming back to him.
Yes. I always like to be around Hawkeye. He's one of my favorites. So
and so misunderstood.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think a lot of people, because Hawkeye has a bunch of different sort of takes and the sort of things. I think I always like Hawkeye because I think of him as very sort of multifaceted and very sort of complex in a very human way. But I think people do misconstrue that and misunderstand that. But to me, I made a bunch of videos for comic shops this month where I had to talk about the book for basically 2 hours, saying the same thing over and over into the camera, and it was kind of intense. And
those were awesome, by the way. I wish more people would do those. That is just so inventive and so bringing people in.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it brings people into shops. I stole it from Chip Zdarsky. Chip was doing it for Daredevil, and I texted him, was like, I'm going to do that for Hawkeye. And he was like, oh, it's really brutal. And I was like, okay. But I did it, and you end up saying crazy things because you're just talking about the same thing over and over and over and over into a webcam. And so I started saying, like, well, this is relate. Yeah, well, sure. I ended up saying, this is about Clint Barton, the best Avenger. And all these people online were like, why do you keep saying he's the best Avenger? And I said it as a joke, but the more I thought about it, the more I sort of I kind of do think he's the best Avenger.
The fact that he can hang with Earth's mightiest heroes, being mostly at the end of the day just a dude who trains really hard, is pretty impressive.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even I think he's really the human. He's really the best POV character into the Marvel universe. He's not a super soldier or a mutant or a guy in an armor or a god. He's a dude who messed up in his past and makes mistakes and is super fallible, but just wants to do the right thing. And he got really good at one thing, and he's like, I want to use that to help people and make amends for my past. And I just find him super relatable and super human, and
a prominent deaf character too, which I think some people even forget when they write him. It's like, oh yeah, isn't he supposed to be deaf?
Oh yeah. He's just very, I think a lot of people can see themselves in Clint. And it's, I think that's really beautiful. And I know I see myself in him a lot, and I know a lot of other writers do, and a lot of fans do. And so, yeah, I mean, I do think he's one of the great characters in the Marvel Universe. He's one of my favorites for sure.
Definitely, and endearing, no doubt about that. Now, I think, the first book I read from you, which actually kind of coincided very interestingly with a major shift in my own career when I stopped working at Name Redacted, which is a little joke we do here, and started working solo. I read your special Quake one-shot, which was for the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. anniversary. I'm like, man, this is really solid. Who wrote this? Mathew Rosenberg. I will remember that name. And indeed I did, and I picked up your next several things.
Well, thank you. Yeah. That was a really fun issue. It was me and Daniel Warren Johnson and my buddy Patrick co-wrote it. And it's I love Quake. I'm a big fan of Secret War and everything Bendis did with her, and
the TV show was blowing up at the time.
The TV show was blowing up at the time, and yeah, I think she's just one of those characters that is very underrated, and so I wanted a chance to sort of show her and be in what it's like to be the kid who a year ago was a regular person, and this year is going toe to toe with the villains and standing with the Avengers. And so that was sort of my pitch, was just what's it like for Quake to be on a helicarrier going into battle. And
you definitely had a warm kind of positive take on the Inhumans, which at the time was kind of a rarity, and that even spoke to me. I'm like, hey, this guy actually sounds like he likes the Inhumans. Isn't that nice?
I do like the Inhumans. I know that's as an X-Men writer, now a former X-Men writer, that's very controversial, but I really do like the Inhumans. I think there's a lot of good characters and a lot of Inhumans to really love. I love
there.
Yeah, the Royal Family I think is great, and I think they're just an interesting, a classic weird Marvel sci-fi concept that's really fun. And
for sure.
So yeah, I'm a big Inhumans cheerleader for sure.
And again, too, Quake, yet another character you're actually going to be returning to. This is another thing that made me a fan of yours. There are these little continuity threads that tie together all your series, which is super rewarding if you read all of your books. And obviously, one of the things you got coming out, one of the many cool new things you got coming out in 2020 is you're going to be writing the special Force Works miniseries, which, oh, look at all the characters on here. Nick Fury Jr. and Quake and all these other ones that you've worked with before. Tell me a little about that. Did you already know where it's like, ooh, I get to do a new Force Works. I know exactly what characters I'm picking for this.
It's funny. It ties into the Iron Man 2020, which is Dan Slott's big Iron Man event, and I've been a big fan. I'm a huge fan of Dan's work, but the stuff he's doing in Iron Man and where he's taking it, I love. I think Dan is one of the great. He just looks at a character and he finds out like these fundamental truths about them that everyone understands but no one talks about, and he sort of pokes at those things in a great way. And I think Iron Man 2020 is really going to do that. He walked through it, and he walked me through it, and I was like, this is really cool and really fun. And I was thinking like, oh, I'd like to be involved in some way and help out if I can. And then Marvel was like, yeah, there's going to be some tie-ins and we're going to do a couple things. And they said Force Works, and I just love the original Force Works a lot. And I was like, wait, we're doing a Force Works book? And everyone was confused that I was so excited. And I was like, I love that book. And they were like, do you want to do it? And I was like, yeah. And everyone was really confused. And I was like, yeah. And then,
not to totally show my age here, but I was first introduced to Force Works in the Iron Man cartoon show when like they redid it later on, and Force Works was like his running buddy team. And I'm like, oh yeah, those guys.
Yeah. No, the Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning Force Works in the 90s, that's Scarlet Witch and Tony and US Agent, and it's a fun weird book. Julia Carpenter is on the team. Sentry. It's just a cool weird book, but I was like, yeah, I would love to do Force Works. And then I think the first thing I said was just like, I need US Agent.
Yes.
And that's and that's not something that I think they expected to hear. And
U.S. Agent, I want to talk to you about that, choosing him. U.S. Agent is existing in a very interesting little place in Marvel continuity right now with what Nick Spencer did with him and what now Ta-Nehisi Coates is doing with. I actually just read the newest Captain America issue before we started. I'm like, man, these are some different outside the box takes on this one. What do you got planned for Johnny Walker? What's your take on him?
I really love him. I've always loved him. I mean, I was a little kid, and I was going and buying back issues of the Mark Gruenwald Captain America where he became Cap, and I just thought he was interesting because he is he's this thing that's super familiar to us. He's Captain America, but different, with a different take and a sort of different ideology. And he's not really nice. He's not like a super nice dude. He's not trying to make friends. He's not trying to be a hero. And in some ways, like, he's just like this mirror version of Cap, but he's a superhero, and he really believes and loves, he loves the country, and he loves, sticking up for it and being the sort of the symbol of America. Like, he's very into that in a very real way. And I think I sort of love this sort of like alternate Captain America idea. I've always been fascinated by him, and I think he's got this interesting history because he was like this kind of troubled character when he started. He was really problematic, and in taking on the name Captain America, he realized that there's something bigger than him, and he has to be a better person for it, and he became that person. But he also has this interesting burden, and I think Nick Spencer touches on it really well in his Cap, and
it's one of the best modern stories, I think, with him.
Yeah, and I think the thing that I really liked, and I remember talking to Nick about this once, where I was just like, I just love the idea that, like, he knows that he's the second, he's not America to people. He's not Cap in the mind. He was the replacement Cap, and he's a real second tier hero, and he's in the Marvel universe's mind, he's the cheap knockoff. And the fact of the matter is, like, at this point, like, he's not even the second and probably not the third most popular guy.
No. Again, I wrote something. This video won't run till tomorrow, but in talking about the new Ta-Nehisi Coates one, it's like, man, John Walker, his heart is always in the right place, even if his brain is very easily led and he believes whatever anyone in authority tells him. And there's something truly fascinating about that.
Yeah, for sure. And he's this very, he's sort of a tragic figure in this way, and he doesn't see it. Like, he doesn't quite get it, that he's sort of angry that he's not the Captain America that everybody loves. And I love that, like, Bucky came in and Sam came in and they were Captain America, and he was like, why wasn't it me? Like, why, like, he in his mind he did it all right, and it just never clicked, and he was sort of shortchanged. And I think that's really beautiful, and I sort of think he could be a really sympathetic character in a lot of ways, and he's also a jerk, and I think that's a great sort of dichotomy. So yeah, he was the guy I really wanted in Force Works from Go, and then I really wanted Rhodey a lot.
Because you had written War Machine, but you had written Frank Castle as War Machine, so this is kind of a coming full circle.
Yeah, when I wrote Punisher in the War Machine armor, I made the distinction always. People would be like, "Oh, you're writing War Machine," and I'd be like, "It's not War Machine. War Machine is the guy in this armor. This is the Punisher in someone else's armor. Like, this is not, Punisher picks up a shield. He's not Captain America. When he picks up a web shooter, he's not Spider-Man.
It's a tool.
It's a tool, and he's using it, and it's disrespectful to Rhodey, and I wanted that to be clear always, that it's like, this isn't cool. This isn't cool of him. This isn't, like, he's not carrying on Rhodey's legacy. He's stealing Rhodey's legacy. And that's, that's what Frank does. Frank will use whatever means he can to get to the end of his mission. And in the back of my head, I was always like, well, when this ends, like, I need to have Rhodey take the suit back, and that I knew. And we did that, spoiler.
And it was a great scene.
Oh, thank you. But then I also was like, someday I want to be able to put Rhodey back, have Rhodey back in the armor and write him and pay tribute to him, because I love Rhodey, and the same, I think Rhodey, and I think they're an interesting pair to go him with U.S. Agent, because he sort of has the same thing, that he was the second Iron Man who wasn't Iron Man.
I didn't even think about that. That's quite clever.
Yeah, I think they're a good, like, and whereas I think U.S. Agent is really kind of bitter about it in some ways, I don't think Rhodey is. I don't think Rhodey wants to be Iron Man. I think Rhodey is happy with who he is and what he's done, and he died and has some problems with that. But at the end of the day, like, Rhodey sort of carved his own place in the universe, and U.S. Agent kind of didn't. And so I wanted them to be together to sort of look that in the eye. And then, Mockingbird is a character I love, and she has a great history with U.S. Agent on West Coast Avengers, and I wanted to play into that. And Quake was just, I needed a fourth for the party, and Quake was just sort of a no-brainer, because I really like her, and she fits with all them. There's sort of there's a little bit of a shield angle to it. There's a little bit of a military angle, and she fits right there. She's a shield weapon. So I went for her, and I was lucky to have her, and so that's my Force Works. That's the active sort of component of my Force Works team. There are going to be other people you'll see, but they're
I noticed on the promotional artwork that they showed there, Nick Fury Jr. was there as well, which kind of made me go, oh, interesting, because he was more or less the main antagonist by the end of your Punisher run. So I'm like, ooh, are we going to get to see a little bit more there? Kind of Nick Fury Jr. playing all sides, being the master puppeteer and everything. I wonder.
Yeah, I mean, Nick is always someone who is, he's got his finger in every pie, and he's got a lot of plates spinning. So yeah, I mean, I think War Machine and Nick have some stuff to discuss for sure.
Definitely.
U.S. Agent and Nick maybe don't see eye to eye on everything, and I think there's just a lot of interesting stuff there. And there's some other folks that I think we're not showing yet, but who are going to pop up that I think people will dig.
But yeah, I think that's very fascinating. Now, I would be remiss, too, if I didn't talk to you about two books you did that I absolutely love. They made, like, my best year-end when they came out, and I've just been dying to pick your brain. In fact, we actually met one time at Seattle Comic-Con when this book was coming out, and I shook your hand and said how much I loved it. That, of course, was your Kingpin miniseries.
Thank you.
Man, that was some good stuff where they're just so different from anything else on the shelf at that time. What was your thought process behind that one there? Because that was just a really special one.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm really proud of Kingpin. I love that book. He's my favorite villain in the Marvel U. He's
so layered.
Yeah, I think he's so fascinating. I said at the, I said, I think when I was talking to Marvel initially about it, I said, at the end of the day, like, this is a guy who, he loves New York City. He's really exceptional. He's powerful and he's smart and he's clever and he's resourceful. He's really passionate about the city and what he thinks is the right thing to do and how to get there. But he has no moral compass. So he will do things that are self-serving and he'll hurt people to sort of work it out. And I said, but he's really just a few steps off from being a Spider-Man or being a hero. Like, there's a world where Kingpin is a good guy and like an important good guy in the Marvel universe. And that's sort of how I approach him, that it's like, well, he's in bed with awful people and he's doing awful things, but he just sees that as the means to an end, and the end result is going to be, good. I think an analogy I used is, like the Al Capone used to give out turkeys on Thanksgiving. And I was like, Kingpin wants to be the guy who gives out turkeys, but knows he has to be Al Capone to do it. And that's, that's sort of my take on it. But yeah, I just really wanted to do a book. One of the things I love about Marvel and the universe is just the total scale of what it encompasses, from, insane cosmic god battles for reality to like a guy who's just a gangster in New York, and like those exist, and showing the connective tissue and the threads and hinting at them. So I wanted to do a street level crime book about the Kingpin, and him trying to become more legitimate and realize that he has a bad PR problem, and he wants to be respected and be seen as someone who could be respected, and what he'll do to get there. And then you weave in the little nods to your Daredevil and your other Marvel Universe characters, and it's I really love that kind of book at Marvel. I love I'm a huge fan of the big events and the big crazy, your War of the Realms and your Absolute Crisis and all those books, and House of X, and these big epic things that shake the fabric of society. But I also, I grew up in New York, and there's that old Stan Lee quote that Marvel is the world outside your window. Yeah, and to me, I love the idea of, like, you ride the subway and be like, well, who could be Matt Murdock on here? Who could be, Peter Parker? Who could be Frank Castle? Who could be Natasha Romanoff? Like, that's how I grew up in this city, was like,
definitely
thinking of the world as a very real place. And so I love these street level type books, and the books that show you a different facet of the universe. So I'm always trying to figure out how to do that in new ways. And
you captured such a great feeling of melancholy in that one, which I thought was really palpable, and you don't get very much, but who the Kingpin is so perfectly suited for. There's a panel I'm always talking about with people I work with who are in the comic book YouTube press, whatever you want to call it. I'm pretty sure it's the end of the first issue where Kingpin gives that guy some money to shoo him off, and then you see it later and that guy is dead. And it's like, oh, did he just like overdose and that's how he died? Or did the Kingpin actually go and kill him? We don't know. It's left open-ended. Is this like the idea that even when Wilson tries to do good in the universe, it has a negative ripple effect because that's just who he is?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. I mean, I think he's a guy who's just been around pain and suffering so much that, like, the idea of how much of it comes from him and how much of it is built into the universe and how much of it is aimed at him intentionally is a blur. And I wanted to sort of catch that it's just like, well, he knows, tragedy is imminent always. And you brace yourself and you sort of insulate yourself from it, because the people you care about are going to die, and the people are going to betray you, and you're going to have to kill people, and you're going to have to betray people, because that's how the universe works. And so, yeah, that was something we definitely wanted to kind of build into it. And throughout the story, I mean, he sort of, we meet him through this reporter who's sort of down on her luck named Sarah. She's trying to figure out, who he is between the legend and the man, that's terrifying, and the man who's very kind to her. And, a big thing in the book is sort of him trying to teach her that like you just have to look out for yourself and spend less time worrying about other people, because like only you can protect yourself from the tragedy that comes, and when you care about other people, it just courts heartbreak. And it's, you know, it's sort of he's trying to teach her this to protect her because he likes her, and to
that's
her,
just how he interacts. Like, this is me being nice, if you can believe it.
yeah, exactly. And to her, he just seems cruel and heartless, but he's really knows that like once she's in his orbit, bad things are going to happen, and she needs to learn to prepare herself. And she finds it, you know, she finds it scary and cruel, and like to him, it's very off-putting because this is him at his sort of kindest.
It's funny. I remember I was reading that book right around the same time I started watching BoJack Horseman for the first time, and there's all these like kind of funny little parallels between this, because that's also about a person writing a book about this, you know, figure with a lot of demons and everything. I'm like, oh, this is like the serious version of that, and this is like the comedy version of that.
Yeah, for sure. That's the first time I've had that comparison, but I'll take it. That's very kind of you.
Yeah. Again, you know, while we're on the subject of comedy, obviously, you know, you do these serious books, you know, these more superhero stuff, these like down and dirty Punisher style stories. I really liked your Astonishing X-Men book because I thought that was hilarious. That was like one of the funniest books I had read that year. And I'm like, man, this has got almost like a Secret Six vibe to it, of like, you know, heroes who, you know, their metaphorical stock has plummeted a little bit and what they're trying to do to get it back.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a sort of thread in you know, like there's a thing I love in the X-Men, which is like the really down on their luck X-Men.
There's
and
always some.
Yeah, there's always some, and a lot of times it's sort of played for drama or played for heartbreak. But every once in a while, there's these moments where it's sort of played for comedy, and I was like, I want to take some of the like down on their luck X-Men, I mean, the X-Men whose stock have plummeted, as you said, is a very good way of putting it.
You picked all the best ones, too.
Yeah, I was really happy. I mean, there was a time when they were like, oh, put Storm on the team, and I was like, no, like that. Like, I love Storm dearly, but like, no, Storm has never not been cool and badass.
It's
like
true.
Storm lost all her powers and got more cool and badass from it.
She is
like,
strangely bulletproof now that you mention it, no matter what era she's in.
Yeah, Storm is the goddess, man. She's untouchable, and I was like, she will throw off the whole book because everyone will be cooler just by being around Storm, and like they'll just be like, Storm, fix this, like, and
please help.
So yeah, so we needed a real who's who of like different kind of screw ups and sort of down on their luck kind of hapless X-Men. And you know, I was really lucky because there was sort of a sweet spot of just characters that I like who were having bad times, and you know, Havoc and Beast and Colossus and Dazzler, and we put Banshee in there, who was sort of kind of dead but not exactly dead, so that's kind of a bad time in its own different unique way.
Death is like a cold in the comics, you'll get over it.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't technically... He's, like, kind of a zombie, so we just, you know, rode with that. I was like, he's not dead, but he's not dead. And I was like, well...
As a fan, I loved seeing Banshee again, because I remember I complained for, like, years where it's like, yeah, and then Banshee, like, flew off into space after being a horseman, and we never saw him again.
Yeah. There's a little nod, there's a little reference to, like, you know, Beast is trying to cure him, but he says, like, oh, it's gonna take years. And then that's it. And then you never see him again. And I was like, wait, he's just like on ice or something? And so that's literally what I did. I was like, hey, Beast has him in a freezer, and wherever Beast goes, he like takes it with him.
Yeah, so one of his projects.
Yeah, it's like when he moves, he's like, well, pack the fridge with Banshee in it. And I thought that was funny, and I actually, that was sort of one of my favorite things in the book, and I think people didn't really think about it, because I was like, well, he has a different job. He's teaching at Harvard. When the book starts, he's not at the school, he's not in New York, he's moved. And I was like, and he's moved with Banshee. Yeah. And like, that to me, I made me laugh the whole time, and I was like, oh, I think people are gonna think this is really funny. And then no one really cared. But I was like, that to me made me laugh the whole time, that I was like, you know, he's gotta have moving men come and move the fridge, and he's gotta be like, be careful with that. Like, he's
gotta put the fragile sticker on it.
Yeah. It's like my weird half dead friend is in there. Just delicate. I thought that was super fun.
Yeah, you made the Reavers scary again. Obviously villains who have existed in X-Men for a long time, but again, even their stock as villains has gone up and down over the years.
Sure, yeah. The Reavers I thought were a good foil for my Astonishing X-Men because they are really terrifying fundamentally, but are kind of like a punchline and losers, and like they have a really good turn in Charles Soule did a Wolverine thing with them where they're trying to steal Wolverine's body, and the X-Men show up and sort of kick their asses, and then
they sure do.
And they're handed over, and it's sort of, and I was like, well, where would they go? And I was like, I want to use them, and I don't want to just be like they broke out of jail, and then it's like, oh, they're being passed around by the government, by shadowy parts of the government, because fascinating weapons, and this is them like both down on their luck, but also they're really terrifying. Like, they're freaky cyborg punk rock dudes. Like, I just really like the Reavers, and I always sort of want to...
As do I. Again, you had me at freaky cyber punk rockers, honestly.
Yeah, they're awesome. And so the chance to do a Reavers thing was something I wasn't going to, pass up, especially with that X-Men team. I was like, yeah, I can just really throw these guys at each other and make it crazy and horrible for everybody.
Again, I had a pitch. I hope someone actually brings up the Reavers again, because it feels like in all these Hickman books, which I'm loving right now, it feels like everyone has mastered Reaver tech now to like suppress mutant abilities and psychic stuff. Like, man, I hope the Reavers show up and be like, hey, you're ripping off all our stuff. This is us. We did this.
Yeah. I'm excited to see where the Reavers appear, and
because they have to, especially with all the books that are out right now. They can't not.
Yeah. I'm sure they will rear their heads soon, and I look forward to them because they are some of the best.
Definitely, most definitely. All right, what else do we have to talk about? We talked about it a little when we began, but we might as well go full force into it. Obviously, the big book that you came on here to promote, the book that is the backdrop for our little podcast video here, of course, is Hawkeye Freefall, coming out right now. Please tell us all about it. Give us the pitch, give us the story behind it, the story behind the story, if you will.
Sure, yeah. So Hawkeye Freefall, it's me and Otto Schmidt on art, who is just so stunning. I love his stuff. I loved when he was doing Green Arrow at DC, and it's a beautiful book. Like, he's just a master. And it starts January 1st. And it's just I did a book called Tales of Suspense a year and a half, 2 years ago.
I remember.
And it was Hawkeye and Bucky teamed up, and I just had a lot of fun with it, and I think folks at Marvel really dug it, and a lot of fans were very cool. I mean, it wasn't the biggest book in the world, but it was something that people were pretty passionate about. And
I do have to keep reminding people about what happened with Black Widow. I'm like, see, you need to go read Rosenberg's book so you're up to date and know what's going on.
Sure, yeah. It's it was a weird little book to bring a character back in, but now she's back and everybody's happy because Nat's the best. Mm-hmm. But the Marvel pays attention when there are people really passionate about something, and they listen to that stuff. And so people really seem to enjoy my writing Clint, and they came to me and said, would you have any interest in doing that? And like I said, he's one of my absolute favorite characters, and I said, yes, I would love to. But I pitched a thing to Alana, my editor, and she was very into it, and the company was very into it. And then Punisher got extended, and I took over Uncanny X-Men, and sort of my time filled up. And it was a book that I really wanted to devote like a lot of sort of attention to and really work really hard on. And so I kind of had to put it on the back burner because I was like, I just can't give it as much as I want. And now I'm out of X-Men, and I'm wrapped on the Punisher, and Marvel was kind enough to hold Hawkeye for me, and so we just dove back in and enlisted Otto, which we're so lucky to have. And so January 1st, it's Clint Barton again. It's not Kate. I love Kate, but the last few things have been very Kate focused, so I wanted to put Clint back in the spotlight for a little bit. And I wanted to do a classic Hawkeye kind of story, drag him a little more back, plant his feet a little more firmly in the Marvel Universe, and
nice.
yeah, so it's Clint doing superhero stuff, but in a very Clint way. He's sort of rushing in. The Hood is our main antagonist, and
another
Clint,
wonderfully underutilized bad guy in the Marvel pantheon.
Yes, I love the Hood so much, and I think he's a great foil for Clint just because.
Yeah, there's a lot of parallels I'm thinking of already between the two of them.
Yeah, exactly. They're both, guys who are, they're not Clint was a villain, and in the same way the Hood was a villain. Like, they're not mustache twirling evil bad guys. They're guys who didn't have anyone looking out for them and had a tough time and made some tough choices.
We're doing this to feed ourselves, bad guys.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, Clint was lucky enough to have Cap and the Avengers sort of come in and be like, you can turn this around and you can be a good guy and you can help people. And the Hood didn't have that. And so having the two of them face off is really fun because I think they look at each other as sort of
there but for the Grayskull eye.
Yeah, exactly. It's they're sort of a funhouse mirror versions of each other, and both of them sort of resent it a little bit, and both of them the other one kind of gets under each other's skin in a very personal way.
We're both very good at one thing, you at archery, me at magic.
Yeah, exactly, and so it's very personal, and Clint, the Hood is a little bit out of Clint's weight class. He's a little bit of a bigger fish than Hawkeye solo is used to taking on. He's got a little bit of an empire now, and he's pretty good at the magics, which Arrow is not perfect against. And so Hawkeye goes toe to toe with the Hood and sort of comes out on the losing end of it, and it just gets under his skin in a very real way. And he decides that he's going to do everything he can to make the Hood's life miserable. And,
nice.
And so that's what it is. It's his weird obsession with hurting the Hood, and because it's a Hawkeye book, you meet his girlfriend and his friends, and they're all a little worried about him and being like, "Are you obsessed with this stuff more than you should be?"
It sounds very Bugs Bunny. It's like, I am now going to ruin your life for the remainder of this short now.
Yeah, exactly. It's very. I think the original pitch I pitched under, I wanted to call it Hawkeye. It's not funny anymore. Because it's Clint taking a joke too far, which I think is very Clint, to just be like, "Oh, I'm messing with him," and then it's like, okay, make sure you don't piss him off too much. He's very dangerous. And then it's like, oh, now people are getting hurt, and like he's Clint, so he's stubborn and he gets into a situation because he knows he can fight his way out of it, and then he doesn't have a choice but to fight his way out of it, and it's really rough. But in the book, we also have another element, which is a little more mysterious, but there's a new Ronin. And
another character whose stock is on the rise at the moment.
Sure. And it's Clint used to be Ronin. He's the first Ronin. And there's a new Ronin who's a little more violent and a little more dangerous, and he's kind of stealing things and hurting people, and everyone sees Clint kind of going too far with the Hood and is kind of like, is this related to you? And
is this a split personality thing? This is comics, that happens all the time.
Yeah, and Clint is kind of like, doesn't want the attention because he's already doing a stupid thing. So he doesn't want the attention that the Ronin, new Ronin, is bringing. So Ronin is sort of this frustration from his past as he's trying to figure out who it is and stop them. And the book is funny, and there's a lot of jokes, but there's a lot of like sort of the more serious like examinations of Clint that I think are warranted, and there's a lot of good action, and we have a ton of guest stars because I think that a Hawkeye book should have a lot of people sort of coming and dealing with him and getting sick of him. So
are we going to be seeing any more extended members of the Barton family, because he has quite the family, doesn't he?
There are not any other Bartons that I can talk about. People keep thinking Barney's going to show up for sure, And I said online, someone was like, "Where's Barney?" And I was like, "Barney's on an island. Like Barney is."
He made good, man.
Yeah, Barney got money and settled down on an island, and like, why would he come back?
I mean, I'm sure you couldn't tell me either way, but when I mean the extended Barton family, there's also old Swordmaster too, who's always hanging out in the background.
Sure. There is no Swordmaster in this. But I do love Swordmaster.
Because his name is Swordmaster. How can you not love that?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I no Swordmaster now, but I do...
Well, that's for the sequel, Free Fall 2, Fall Harder.
There you go, yeah. So yeah, I'm really excited about the book, and I hope people check it out. I think even if you find me or my work super annoying, it's worth buying just for Otto's art because it's so beautiful. But
I mean, if I wasn't already sold, I'm sold now.
Yeah, I also don't know if you find me super annoying why you'd still be watching this video. So I'm gonna assume.
Trust me, those people clicked off a long time ago. We can just say whatever the hell we want.
All right, there you go. So yeah, January 1st is the first issue of Hawkeye Free Fall. I'm really proud of it, and I think it's we tried to do something that feels a little different than a lot of the other Marvel books right now. I think Marvel is doing awesome work, and I think there are so many books that I really, really am in love with. But we tried to tried to scratch an itch that I think other books weren't really scratching, if that makes sense. And so I think it's sort of hard to put a finger on, but I think when people pick it up, they'll see that we're kind of trying to do something a little different while still doing a superhero book. And
certainly,
I hope people dig it.
That's actually a good topic in and of itself right now. You mentioned how Marvel's firing on basically all cylinders these days. What's out there right now that you're personally really enjoying and that you're reading? I know as someone who does this profession, I read like 20 books a week, and it's only getting worse because they're scrunching them all into the holiday season. But I always love to ask, from the writers and the people who work there, what gets you excited?
Well, I'm reading a lot of stuff for research always. So I've actually been reading the Mark Gruenwald Captain America, rereading that.
Good stuff,
I love, isn't it? Yeah, it's so good.
And like super topical to the time, but also like really holds up.
Yeah. It's so it's fun in a way that so few comics are, but also is like very intensely political and like sort of, I remember reading it as a real little kid and like a lot of it going over my head, but like, right winger and left winger showing up and like, the idea of the commodification of Captain America and like the value of symbolism and what the nation stands for versus what it does. And yeah, there's a lot of really, really, really great stuff in there that I really love. And it's very smart. And
you can tell Grunwald just loved the character because he was on it in one form or another for so long.
Oh yeah, for sure. And he just does such a good Cap. And he takes Cap out of the suit and puts him in another thing, and then it's like, oh, he has a new Cap and it's U.S. Agent, and it's great. It's still great. And then you go and meet up with Cap and he's with D-Man, and it's so I'm reading all those again just to like dip my toe back in some stuff to prep for Force Works. But what have I been reading that I love? I mean, all the X books have been awesome.
They really have been. Like, that's just like such a once in a lifetime, like, hey, here's X-Men. They're all good.
Yeah, they're all good. I really loved all of them. I'm very excited for Ed Brisson's stuff on New Mutants. Ed does Young Mutants. He has such a good grasp on them. And
now they're Canadian-y.
Yeah, he's very Canadian. And Immortal Hulk's been awesome.
Oh, I know, right?
Yeah, so good.
Just the genres that book bends.
Sure, yeah.
It's just purely insane. Like, I think someone in my comments section said, this is to this generation what Swamp Thing was under Moore. And I'm like, that's a very fair comparison.
Yeah, I think that's super right. Like, you get it. Like, I think there's something to like the British writers who grew up on like the 2000 AD stuff, where like they're reading these sprawling epic stories that go on for all of time, but they're reading them in 5-10 page bursts, and they're they're just condensing them into like these huge ideas into these bite-sized portions, and then like dispatching them just as quickly. I think like that Al Ewing is as good at that as anyone in writing comics right now.
He's at the height of his power.
yeah, he's just so good and all that. And what else have I been liking?
You mentioned
Kelly,
Zdarsky earlier. Have you been reading Daredevil?
of course, yeah. Chip's Daredevil's brilliant.
That book is so good, I almost shake with anger every time I'm done. Like, I will never make anything as good as this.
Yeah, for sure. I remember when Chip got Daredevil, he walked us through the story, and I was sitting, and it was Ed Brisson on my left and Donnie Cates on my right, and the three of us are sitting there and Chip, like sitting across from Chip, and he's walking us through Daredevil. And I think all three of us like are huge Daredevil fans, and you know, when Daredevil's one of those books that when someone gets it, you're just kind of like, oh, I'm a little jealous. Like you know, I'm happy. I love Chip dearly. I think he's one of the great people in the world. But I was also just like, oh, all of us want Daredevil, and I just remember Chip halfway through it, and just being like, it's so good, it's so good. And then Donnie just leaned over and whispered in my ear, and he was like, Chip's gonna win an Eisner.
I mean, that's where we're at with it. And I mean, it's got to be a lot of pressure too, taking on a book like Daredevil. Like you said, everyone wants it, but it's like, okay, be as good as Miller and Bendis and all these other writers that came before and wrote these immortal runs. You know, a character who hasn't had a bad run in like almost 3 decades now.
Yeah, I mean, Daredevil's a prestige book. It's really a book where people like show what they're worth, and Chip is definitely, you know, Chip is worth a lot, and he showed it very clearly there. It's been awesome. Yeah, I don't know. I'm loving a ton of the books. I love what Donnie's doing in Venom, and
definitely. I was not much of a Venom fan actually until Donnie started writing. I'm like, okay, I see what all the buzz is about now.
Sure, yeah. Donnie's like Donnie was born to write that book, and I'm going to be heartbroken if he ever leaves it. But yeah, it's all that stuff's been awesome. I'm trying to think what else I've been reading that I really liked. The new James Bond was great. Crowded is a book that I always love.
I keep hearing that. Sadly, because I live and breathe so much of the superhero stuff, I don't get to read as many indies. But all my indie friends are like, you got to read Crowded now.
Crowded is great. You should definitely pick it up. It's you know, just such a smart book, and like just fun in a way that like you forget sometimes how fun a comic can be, and Crowded does a really good job where you're just like smiling every page. Olympia from Image has been really good. I don't know, there's a lot. The new Space Riders, obviously, like Space Riders is one of my favorite comics. That's, you know, a huge book that I love always. So that book coming back was big for me.
You mentioned James Bond there. What'd you think of the new trailer?
I don't watch trailers, so I didn't see it.
Oh, don't you now?
No, I will see the movie opening day, I'm sure, but I'm not.
I respect your strength and fortitude, sir, to not be suckered in by trailers.
I'm the super weird dude who waits in the lobby eating my popcorn until the trailers stop and I hear the like singing Coke can, and then I come in and sit down and move.
I mean, that's probably the way we should all be doing it. Again, I'm a weirdo. One of my favorite movies of all time is Death to Smoochie, and I will yell to anyone who will listen, the marketing ruined this movie for everyone. They would love it more if they saw it as the dark drama it was supposed to be, and not the weird comedy they sold it as.
That's fair. Death to Smoochie. I haven't watched Death to Smoochie in a long time.
It's if you take nothing else away from this, buy Hawkeye Freefall and then do yourself a favor and see Death to Smoochie is what you need to do.
Sure, yeah, okay, I'll take that.
Make it a weird double feature, everyone listening.
It's a weird double feature for sure.
Thematically, they won't connect at all, but you'll have a great time.
Or maybe they do. You don't know.
That's my next video essay there, how Hawkeye Freefall and Death to Smoochie are thematically created.
I like it, yeah.
What else was I going to say? Any other new projects coming down the pipeline? Anything you can talk about? I know the new year is starting. There's a lot of buzz about Incoming coming soon.
Oh yeah, I wrote some of Incoming. I wrote 4 pages of Incoming. I don't think I'm allowed to say what they are.
They're being very secretive about Incoming. This is maybe the most secretive Marvel has been about an event for a very long time.
Yeah, I didn't know I was allowed to talk about that I was in it until like people asked me about it, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm in it. But yeah, I wrote 4 pages that I'm super proud of. That is 2 characters that I really love.
Characters you've written before, or is this a first-time thing?
There are 2 characters I've written before. and they're interacting. It was really fun to write. It's a weird little thing in Incoming, but I think I don't know what I'm allowed to say. If you've been reading Annihilation and you liked Annihilation at all, maybe pick up Incoming. I mean, you should pick up Incoming even if you haven't been reading Annihilation or read it and didn't like it, but it is in some ways connected to Annihilation. So
interesting.
Yeah, that's all I can say, I think.
I bought my copies of Annihilation, but haven't had a chance to actually read it yet because of the Christmas rush. I'm going to do a big video on it once it's all done.
Well, thanks for picking it up. I hope you like it.
Yeah, I mean, what's it like again? Because as I mentioned before, you've done the Punisher stuff, you've done the more street level stuff. Annihilation was, was it your first chance to play around in Marvel Cosmic, or did you get a chance to do that before?
No, I've done, the only other cosmic thing I did a Rocket Raccoon book, but he never leaves Earth.
That was for the Grounded saga.
Grounded, yeah. He never leaves Earth, so it's a cosmic book in only what office I reported to, because in reality it's like, well, he takes the subway and he rides the Staten Island ferry in that book. So, it's really my first dip into cosmic. I love the cosmic stuff, but my brain sometimes when it gets super crazy, like that Jim Starlin stuff, like
there's a lot to handle in that.
There's a lot to handle, and your brain just has to be a certain level of flexibility that I think mine isn't. And I love reading it, but if I tried to make that stuff, I really couldn't.
Yeah, a lot of those guys were on a completely different wavelength than most of us.
Yeah, for sure. And I talked to Donnie about this a lot, because Donnie. Where I think the X-Men shaped a lot of the things I love, like the Starlin stuff shaped a lot of, served the same purpose in Donnie's life. So we talk about that a lot of like, he's like, I can't wrap my head around some of the X-Men stuff. I'm like, I can't wrap my head around some of the like, the Starlin space stuff. Like it's just so crazy. And, but I love the original Annihilation. It's one of my favorite books ever at Marvel, because it's a war story, and it's you understand the stakes and the scale of it, and it's just epic and huge. So I really was honored when they asked me to do this, because it was something that I love, and getting can do something I love, but also like something that I understood, and I could do this. I feel like I could do this, and I got to work with Dan Abnett and Christos Gage, who worked on the original Annihilation books.
That must have been pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm huge fans of both of them, so that was a big deal for me. And my buddy Mike Morisi, who is writing a lot of the best indie comics right now, Wasted Space and The Plot, and I love his stuff. And he came in to do the Beta Ray Bill issue that came out this week and just killed it. And it's so good. But yeah, it's been awesome, and sort of I love Nova a lot. I think Nova's a great character in a lot of the same ways that Hawkeye is. He's a very relatable, very human kind of character. If you trace like Nova's history, he more than almost any other character in the Marvel universe has just been one sort of string of bad luck after the other.
I know.
Yeah, he just really gets.
He's basically Charlie Brown, but with a space helmet.
Yeah, he just gets kicked around a lot. And it's like, you're like, Peter Parker has it pretty rough. And it's like, yeah, but Peter Parker at least gets, He's
evergreen, and there will never not be a Spider-Man book. There wasn't Nova books for huge chunks of time.
Exactly. And it's just like, he just shows up and just, like, gets his ass kicked and then disappears for a while. And I was like, I really want to, like, explore that and what it's like to be Nova and Rich Rider, and just the heartbreak that is Rich Rider of like, you're plucked out of high school to go save the universe, and then you build an army to help you, and they're all killed, and you come back to Earth and you make friends, and then you have to go to space to save space, and your friends on Earth are killed, and so you come back to Earth and your friends in space are killed, and then you end up like in this giant space war, and you end up trapped in a basically hell for and like.
A whole generation of kids thinks that Sam Alexander is Nova, and that's the only Nova they've ever known. Exactly.
I said this to someone the other day. I was like, Nova's fascinating because he was trapped in the Cancerverse, and he sacrificed himself to save Star-Lord. He got Star-Lord out of the Cancerverse, and he stayed behind. And no one ever came back for him. And I think there's any other character in the Marvel Universe that you could trap in another dimension.
Forget about, yeah.
And just be like, yeah, they didn't come. Like, the Guardians never showed up. Like, the Fantastic Four never came. And like, what does that say about him, and what does that do to him psychologically is something that I really was sort of fascinated by. So I made sure that he's sort of the focal point of a lot of the Annihilation things. So that was really exciting to write him, and I hope people, Nova fans seem to really dig the Nova one-shot, and
I think Nova fans are just happy to be fed in general.
For sure. And I think when the last issue comes out, I can't say whether Rich is in it or not, but I hope people dig it.
That's cool. Well, we've been talking for almost an hour right now, and I really appreciate you making time to come and do the show. I think we covered all the topics, right? There was nothing else you wanted to talk about, nothing else you had to promote?
No, I think that's about it.
Well, again, I'll thank you so much for coming and joining us today, Mathew. This has been great. Social media, anywhere where people can follow you? You want to tell them to do that now? You tell them to do it, and then they do it sometimes.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I have a Twitter. It's Ashcan Press, ASHCANPRESS. I have the same thing for Instagram and Facebook and Tumblr, but I don't ever use those. So feel free to follow me on there. But
it's hard to keep up with all the apps. I agree.
Yeah, I'd rather just focus on one and let that be an awful intrusion in my life.
I know, at least do one really. I'm the one guy who's never picked up on Reddit. I'm the one YouTuber who doesn't have a subreddit.
There you go, yeah. It's hard. There's too much, and I have to work a lot, and
I feel you, man.
I can't let them all intrude in my life. So I was just like, well, I could just give a lot. I want to, like, if people reach out to me, I want to be able to, like, respond and talk to them, and if people have questions. So I was like, well, if I'm on 5 things, I'm going to be able to give 1/5 of the attention. So I just sort of put all my eggs in the Twitter basket, for better or worse, probably worse, but that's where you can find me.
There you go. So go follow him. Again, thank you. Be sure to mention down in the comments section below what's your favorite Mathew Rosenberg book? What's he doing that's got you really excited? Hey, be sure to buy Hawkeye Freefall when it comes out. When's that again?
It's January 1st.
January 1st.
And it's super beautiful.
Ring in the new year with some Hawkeye, everybody. And with that, I've been Cave Joel. This has been the Comic Multiverse. And we will see you again, not next week with a podcast. We'll be doing a commentary for Shazam because it's a Christmas movie. So you can see us doing that. And then we'll figure out New Year's, Christmas. Everything falls on a Wednesday this year, and it's a nightmare. But that's my first world YouTuber problem, not to put that on you, Mathew. So we'll all see you again next time, everyone. Bye-bye.